There we
Okay.
go. Elite setup.
Ooh. My window thing is slightly off. But we are
Everyone's at a
live.
desk and I'm
We
just
are
sitting
live.
on
All
my
right.
bed. Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
Okay, how's it going, guys?
I'm good.
Pretty great.
How are you?
I'm doing good. This is
It's,
cool.
you know,
Let's see here. I want to make sure my chat is up.
I was like not expecting this.
This is something I've always wanted to try, and then I saw one of the people I follow, Rayburn, who does awesome WandaVision stuff. I saw her doing this on her Twitch, so it's like, man, I gotta try it. But yeah, I didn't think of like specific topics, but I'm curious, like, what got you guys into Star Wars, and give me your guys' top 3.
So I've loved Star Wars, as far as I can remember. Like, I don't even remember a time before Star Wars. Like, I just know my dad, like, showed me the movies and stuff. And my top 3's changed over the years, but number 1, or I'll go from 3 to 1. 3, it changes between Return of the Jedi and Solo, actually. I think that one's super underrated. 2 is A New Hope. I think that movie's, like, perfect. And then number 1 is Revenge of the Sith, mainly just because of nostalgia.
It's solid. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I love seeing the Solo love. I think Solo is the most underrated Star Wars film. Even though it's still low on my list, like, people don't understand that just because it's low on the list doesn't mean I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, so I got into Star Wars. I've, again, been in Star Wars my whole life. My dad introduced me. I remember, like, so he's a teacher, and I remember this one weekend he had all of his teacher friends over, and we were binging all, at the time, 6 movies. And that's like probably my earliest memory of Star Wars. So really, I've been in it my entire life. And my top 3 change around. I would have to say 3rd would probably be Revenge of the Sith. I just really enjoy that movie. And then 2nd and 1st always flip between Empire and Return of the Jedi. So I was showing my mom the Star Wars movies for the first time. And through that last watch through, actually Return of the Jedi probably jumped Empire. So
Nice.
yeah.
For the longest time, Return was like my number 1 for most of my life, actually. It's only been recently that things have started to move around. But how about you, Sith Lord?
Well, for me, I was into Star Wars a bit later. Like, I have memories before Star Wars. It was, well, obviously, as a younger kid, you're not really into Star Wars because, big flashy lightsabers, people blowing up, not exactly for a toddler. But my clearest first memory of Star Wars was seeing the DVD for The Phantom Menace on my parents' bed. I was like, that looks cool. Don't remember watching it, but I remember looking at that DVD. But my clearest memory was sitting down the first day the Clone Wars premiered here, 2008, and just seeing Yoda on whatever planet that was with the clones and Ventress and the Toydarians, whatever they're called. Yeah, that was my first real memory of Star Wars was the Clone Wars, and growing up along with the Clone Wars and just being able to see the characters I'd seen in the movies just fleshed out, and that's really what got me kept me in the fandom. But my top 3, it always changed, but my number 1 never changed, so I'm going to go 3 to 1. 3 is Revenge of the Sith. Always switches between Revenge and Rogue One, though, now that Rogue One's out. 2, always been Empire Strikes Back. I love that movie. I love the Empire. I've said it in the Discord, I'm an Empire guy. And 1 has always been Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is it's my perfect Star Wars movie. It's got the fun, it's got the seriousness, it's got the battles, the lightsabers, it's got everything.
Yeah, I have to agree, because I think a lot of the criticism that Return of the Jedi gets is people don't like the fun, and people, the scene at Jabba's palace does not make sense, and they did not have it planned, but it's fun, and I think that's something that makes Star Wars really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his Luke's whole plan was just insane. Like, going in there is like, all right, so we're all gonna get caught, and right before we get executed, Like, it's crazy. But yeah, did you guys have any questions for me? I like one of the things that sparked this was I did my ranking list, and I've been getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Feedback, yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious. Did you guys have any questions for me?
So some people may know my content is has a lot to do with the character Watto, and now I just have a few questions about Watto. Like how, like, I know he's in like Phantom Menace and Attack the Clones, but I'm just wondering like what other like canon content it has like he been in.
That's a good question. I actually don't know. I don't have any. I haven't run across him again in canon. I want to say he may have been mentioned in brief passing in the book Queen's Shadow. Because a big thing, so like Padmé meeting Anakin like touched her life dearly, and even though she was not interested in him because he was a little boy, but she got to see like slavery, and that it was a really bad thing, and so her promise was that she was going to find and free Anakin's mom, and so she sent Sabe out to free as many slaves as she could on Tatooine, as many as like her finances allowed, and to search for Shmi, but she never found Shmi because by that time Shmi had already been freed, but she just didn't know that.
All right. Well, I heard, what was this? It was like I don't know if this was Legends or not, but like I heard somewhere that Vader ended up killing Watto. If I was correct, I'm not sure if that was canon or not. I think it was in a comic at some point, or I'm not sure about that.
That was in a comic in Legends that Vader went back there and just murked him. How about you guys?
Yeah, so I have a question. And actually, we were talking about this in the lounge voice chat on Discord a little bit earlier.
It's
so we were talking about well, no, before you joined.
I'm concerned.
So we were talking about the First Order and the Resistance, and a question someone had was talking about like how small the Resistance was, and it got me thinking. So like I know the First Order didn't reign the whole galaxy. Like the First Order is not the Empire, but to what extent did they have control over?
To what extent did they have control? Yeah, so that is largely touched on in Resistance Reborn by Rebecca Roundhorse. It's actually a really good book, but no, they never got anywhere near that level, but they started to make a presence on most of the planets. So after they had killed off the New Republic, basically cut the head off, they just started moving in and like, yeah, we run this place now. But they never really gained control over those places. They were mostly spreading out to find the like dissidents or people that would likely help the Resistance. And so
was go ahead. Sorry. So was there no like overlying government
at that
during
point
that time?
No. But
Okay.
then again, the New Republic wasn't super direct in how it overseed people. Like they also like demilitarized, and most places were left to kind of fend for themselves. So most of these planets had their own internal governments and stuff at this time. But yeah, I mean, so they did have a presence in most places, but they weren't actually running it, and they were just running through and kidnapping anyone that they thought might become a threat, which was pretty crazy. If you start reading canon books, save that book for last, because it actually touches on most, like it touches on the Battlefront 2 campaign. It touches on a little bit from Leia Bloodlines. It touches on Alphabet Squadron. Like it touches on all these books and kind of ties them together at the very end. It's really cool. How about you, Sith Lord?
for me, it's kind of like not like a question of what, it's what do you think? Near the beginning of the Galactic Civil War, we see this thing where Thrawn is pushing for his project, and Krennic and Tarkin are pushing for the Death Star. Which do you think would have done better for the Empire?
Oh, definitely Thrawn's project. Like they wanted to, obviously Tarkin, obviously Krennic was building the Death Star and wanted to have this as like a big giant weapon where no matter what you could force people into submission by them, like by fear, by holding a big gun to their heads. But obviously we saw how consolidating that power allowed the rebellion to destroy the one thing, and that set them back. Not only that, but all of their highest ranking and smartest people and the best people were all on the Death Star. And so
yeah, that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, so I mean really where the rebels exceeded is because they had more and better ships, even though TIE fighters didn't have shields or anything like that. They really just pumped them out for mass production. But
yeah.
if they had a bunch of TIEs that were super fast with shields and hyperdrives, they would have been screwed.
Yeah,
big time.
I remember on the weak tie thing. I remember in Aftermath they specifically say I don't actually remember where it was, but I know it's somewhere in canon. They say the ejector seat engine is right above the fuel tanks of a TIE fighter. So the minute you eject, you could be looking at blowing yourself up. So not the safest design.
Not only that, but they're trained as a group to fly face first into the enemy while firing, because they know that has the best chance of killing the enemy, but it also guarantees a bunch of losses of TIE fighters, but they don't care about that. They're just whatever.
Just people. We'll just get more.
But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no.
I was just thanks for hopping in. I do want to get everyone, so I'm gonna swap everyone out. But yeah, thank you guys for hopping in. I'm definitely gonna do this more. This is fun.
Yeah, this is
awesome.
This is awesome for people who are not big in content and stuff and just want to talk about Star Wars. So yeah, this is awesome.
Not only that, but I also get an idea of people who are comfortable talking and stuff. So I have more ideas on who to invite in the future. Podcast episodes. But all right, guys, I will. What's the best way to do this? Yeah, if you guys can, go back to the thing, that'll make it easier for me. I appreciate it.
All right,
thank you.
See ya.
Have a good one. Thank you, Choco.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Should we turn on our cameras?
Yes, please.
All right.
Also, I want to shout out Sawyerism, helping me out with getting people ready for this. It's super awesome, and you guys should check out her podcast called Star Horrors. Want to make sure I shout her out.
Question: how do I turn on my? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
Ooh. Ace Arcanine. Love me some Arcanine. That's actually the first gift I ever bought my wife. We were dating at the time, but I bought her a big Arcanine stuffed animal. So that was cool.
Nice.
Yes, I married a...
Arcanine has always been my favorite Pokemon.
I had to marry.
I actually don't have a webcam right now.
No worries.
Oh,
Not needed. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
wonderful.
I'm doing good.
Yeah. So let's start by let's go around. You can introduce yourselves and say what is it that you love about Star Wars. What's the first thing that comes to your mind We'll go to Ace.
Should I go first?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm Ace or Ryan, doesn't really matter. You can call me whatever. My favorite thing about Star Wars is either Star Wars Rebels or the High Republic. My favorite characters are Wreath and Ezra. My favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith. And I prefer Mando Season 1 to Mando Season 2.
I love it. I do too. Also, because, so that means that you've read Into the Dark already, and man, that's just become my favorite canon book. Can't wait for Rising Storm, and I picked up this guy today or yesterday. If you can see.
Really wish I could pick it up. I was really tired after school, so I took a nap. I'm probably going to pick it up tomorrow.
And how about you, Ash?
My favorite thing about Star Wars would have to be the independent movies and the game franchises. I really love Star Wars game franchises, and I love Solo, the movie. It's my favorite.
Nice, more Solo love. Yeah, like I said before, it's definitely the most underrated in my opinion. What's your favorite Star Wars game?
Oh, my favorite Star Wars game. The one I've played the most would have to be the Lego trilogies. But Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy would have to hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Because it was the first actual Star Wars game I played.
Nice. Yeah, Jedi Academy is my favorite Star Wars game. It's the first one that truly makes me feel like a Jedi, and that game does not hold your hand at all. You like drop into a planet, you have a mission,
really doesn't.
And you have no idea like what to do or where to go. You have to figure out the whole thing by yourself, and it's very unforgiving. I remember, the first time I opened up a door on Tatooine, and I got hit with a disruptor, and I just disintegrated. And it's like, game over, and I was like, damn it. Yeah, that game is awesome. How about you, Rogue One?
I'm Finn, and the best thing in Star Wars is probably Rogue One or the Clone Wars. I just think the Clone Wars is outstanding, and Rogue One is better than all the other movies.
I had a feeling that you were going to be a Rogue One fan. I have no idea why. But yeah, did you guys have any specific questions for me?
I just have a couple.
Yeah.
So, with me, I'm always confused on Luke's skill with lightsaber combat during the Rise of Kylo Ren era, in terms of like tier listing, like tier S, A, B, stuff like that. Because it's always been weird for me. Where would you put him? Like a tier list?
So that is a great question. And the honest truth is, I don't know. It's so hard to scale Jedi from that era because they don't have any tests against people that we know to use as like a barrier. But like even in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, I mean, he easily whoops all of the Knights of Ren together. So he's definitely way up there, but again, it's so hard to say. Like, especially if you watch Rebels, you'll see how good Kanan and Ezra get. Like Ezra starts getting really good, but at the same time, they're still struggling with the Inquisitors. But if you're just watching the show, they seem like they're really talented until you see Ahsoka jump in and just manhandle both of them at the same time, and you're like, oh, yeah, no, she's a lot better. So I don't know. It's hard. I don't know how to scale it, but I do believe that he's a top tier duelist, especially at that point in time.
And in the same vein, what about Kanan?
Kanan, I would probably put Kanan on par with like a like if I were doing a tier list, I would put him in like probably the A low A tier. To be
Okay,
honest.
yeah, that's what I was thinking with me and my brother. This is kind of in the same vein, but how powerful do you think Ezra would be at a full power, like he reaches full potential?
I hope that we find out. but yeah, that's super hard to say because we don't know what his full potential is, or what his specific strengths are. He was super acrobatic, but we'd never see his force skills all that much. Like he's great at basic pushes and stuff like that, and he mostly talks to animals, but. Whew, yeah. I mean, you're asking some tough ones for for me. With Ezra, though, I would say, like Ezra is like roughly the same age as Luke, and through most of his life, he would whoop Luke. So, yeah. I mean, that's the best I can do. I hope though that next time we see Ezra, he's going to have been with Thrawn for the past, 10, 20 years.
5 years or so.
Yeah. And hopefully some of that rubs off on him, and he's like not only a top tier person with the Force, but mentally can pick people apart and like do things that way.
Do you know?
And this is just a weird what if. Oh, no worries. You can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I actually think that when we in the Ahsoka show, I hope we see Ezra, because I think that's what she's going to be trying to do, find Ezra and Thrawn. But in Rise of Skywalker, when we hear all the Jedi, we never heard Ezra, but we did hear Kanon. And I think that means that Ezra has done something with the dark side. And we see when he was with Maul, he did tap into the dark side a bit with the Sith holocron. I want to see Ezra join the dark side in the Ahsoka show.
Doesn't something similar happen in the Thrawn trilogy and Legends, where Thrawn kind of manipulates another Force user?
Yeah, so there is the clone of Jerus Sabayoth, who basically just goes mad. But yeah, he's and he uses him for like battle meditation. So I mean, they could potentially make him go that certain route, but that'd be interesting because like I do know that at some point in time the Sith were at war with like the Chiss, and so the Chiss are more familiar with the Sith than they would be with the Jedi, probably. So I don't know. That could be super cool.
So I just have some weird what-if questions combining the prequel and the High Republic. If you could have a High Republic master teach a prequel-era Jedi any rank, who would you have pair up?
I mean, I love I for some reason I just picture Loden Greatstorm training Kit Fisto, and they're just having like the best time, and they're just always laughing, and just like it's super jovial.
I always thought Elzar and Qui-Gon Jinn would be a good pairing.
Yeah. Elzar is definitely, like, all the Jedi back then are closer to Qui-Gon, but Elzar is the Qui-Gon of that era. Yeah, I do love me some Elzar.
Then, in that same vein, if you could have a prequel master train a High Republic Padawan, who would you pair up?
Ooh, let's see here. Prequel era master. Huh. I want to see someone with like a ton of martial skill, like a Mace Windu, train someone like who has like that bleeding heart, like Buryaga. I think that would be like if he could help balance Buryaga, where he could pull out some of that fierceness. I don't know, I just think that would be a really cool pairing to me.
I always thought Jocasta Nu and Reese Silas would be a good pick, or Anakin and Vernestra for some reason. I always thought those two would work together.
Well, I just want to see Varen and her lightsaber like doing stuff. That would be a super awesome.
Yeah, same.
How about you, Ash?
I don't know anything about the High Republic, honestly. Huh?
Oh no. But did you have any questions?
Oh, I do have questions. Do you know if there are any other Bendu? Or, like, if there's a Bendu user? Like, if that's a school?
So the Bendu being in the middle essentially means that he is like a passive observer kind of deal. So the closest thing we have to anyone using the Bendu actually comes from the Legends of Luke Skywalker book. And there is this Force-sensitive group that Luke goes to visit, and he learns a bunch of stuff from them, but they refer to it, they don't call it the Force, they call it the Tide. And for them, like, the tide waxes and wanes, and it's up and down. And so they see the Force as a whole, but their thing is they just trust in the Force. So, like, they're always, like, chiding Luke because he keeps trying to, like, their big rite of passage is this thing where they're fishing and they have a really long pole with the spear on the tip of it. It's the same thing that Luke uses in The Last Jedi. But they're doing it on the back of, like, these big winged creatures. And Luke was having so much trouble doing it because he was trying to use the Force to make it happen. And so they were like you're so strong, like, we've never seen anyone with this strong of a connection to the tide, but why can't you just trust that the tide will bring the fish and your spear together when it needs to? Like, you keep trying to force this into happening, and that's your problem. So, like, their school of thought is it's more of a passive observer, just like Bendu. Like, even when Bendu creates his whole Force storm thing, it hits good and bad ships. Like, everything he does is he's just kind of riding the current of the Force, if that makes sense. That's the closest.
Cool. I was just wondering if there was, like, a Jedi school, but for Bendu type users who, like, watch and chronicle and adventure or something.
That would be
cool. Because that sounds like it would. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because that sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of that yet. But one thing I am really excited, or I hope that we see, in light of the Into the Dark, someone becomes a Jedi way seeker, and basically, they disagree with the Council themselves, but you can still remain a Jedi that's just kind of off on their own, and just do Jedi stuff and explore your connection to the Force and all that stuff by yourself. And that's what I want to see more of. Hopefully we get that. Do you have any more thoughts, Finn?
So I saw your ranking video, and I saw you put Rebels above Clone Wars, which just, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. So I fully stand by it. I mean, my big thing is I love deep character stories and character-driven stories and lore, and I just find more of that in Rebels. Also, Clone Wars has some of the best arcs, but it also has some of the worst arcs too, comparatively. So, like, it has a broader spectrum of quality. I was actually rewatching it with some people, and at the end of each episode, you're compelled to watch the next episode. And Clone Wars, you may get that for an arc, but it never continues. You know what I mean? So while, like, Ahsoka gets a lot of development, so does Rex. I could tell you more about each and every member of the Ghost than I could on either of them.
Yeah. My big problem with Rebels is, well, the first season, in my opinion, is just terrible. It's unwatchable to me, except for a couple episodes. The Lando episode
Finale.
in particular. The finale was good.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite episodes in it.
Yeah. But the Grand Inquisitor was cool, but the other two Inquisitors they're just so annoying. Like, they annoy me. I wanted, well, it doesn't make sense to me, the scaling, in my opinion, in that show. Kind of. Like, the Inquisitors...
Scaling?
Yeah, like, the Inquisitors completely get annihilated by Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, but I will have to say that the power scaling in Clone Wars does suffer the same.
I agree. It isn't outstanding there either.
Ahsoka, as like a kid in a tube top, faced off against General Grievous, and
Yeah.
she did all right. and Dooku is just a G all throughout that, and like is untouchable. I don't know the scale. The person who kills the most Jedi in the show, I believe, is Savage Opress, who's nobody. You know what I mean? We saw him kill Adi Gallia, the two Jedi that were guarding that one temple.
Yeah.
He doesn't even necessarily have the Force in him, correct? It's just the magic that's giving him access to Force powers.
That part
I could be wrong, but
yeah, the whole magic thing is kind of weird.
He's got hoodoo power.
But on that,
I also have a.
Oh, go ahead. Last question though, because
I
I
have
want to make sure I get more people.
So there is a moment in the Darth Vader 2017 run where Jocasta Nu talks about how Vader's dark side is like molten metal, and in the High Republic it has this concept where every single Jedi has an individualized view of the Force. Could this mean that Jocasta Nu sees the Force as various metals?
I've never even considered that. That one I'm gonna have to look up. Can you say it one more time?
So during Darth Vader 2017, Jocasta Nu is like hiding from Vader and trying to like talk to him, and she's like, your dark side is as hot as like molten metal or something like that. And through the High Republic, we learned that Jedi seem to have an individualized view of the Force. So I kind of read that as Jocasta Nu seeing the Force as various metals. Could that be a possibility?
It could be possible, but it also could be possible that she sees it as like temperature based as well, like just plain hot or cold. But yeah, that I don't know. I'll have to. It certainly is possible. Like, I don't know how they connect, how they see their connection to the Force. But it does feel like by the time of the prequels, how they look at the Force is a bit more standardized.
Yeah.
Like less individual.
That makes sense.
But all right, guys, thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna grab the next group of people, and I will be doing this more often. This has been a lot of fun. If you guys wouldn't mind going back to the other room, it makes it easier because I can't mass do it. Awesome. All right, let's bring in the next group. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear
Are we all good?
Yeah, you're all good if you want to turn on your cameras. What's going on, Alex?
Hello.
What's up, Justin? Toxic God?
What's up?
Awesome. This is cool. Alex,
Yeah.
I think you're muted. Are you still?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry. Woo! How's everyone doing today?
Doing well. How are you? Good.
This has been a lot of fun. Like, I'm enjoying this. I should do this more often. But yeah, let's go around and introduce yourselves, and let's do who is your all-time favorite character in Star Wars, and why? And let's go to Alex first.
So my all-time favorite character would have to be Anakin. I was gonna say, it sounds basic, but I've always been a fan of main characters who kind of struggle between good and evil, light and dark, and so obviously Anakin plays right into that. And Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie because of the last scene and seeing Anakin finally come back to the light side, and that's what Star Wars is all about to me.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I don't think we can really argue that Return of the Jedi has the best end of any trilogy. You know what I mean? How about you, Toxic?
Hi, my name's Coda, and my favorite, I would have to agree with Alex here, my favorite would have to be Anakin, mostly because, like, I understand when, like, his emotions get out of, like, when he just gets led by emotions more than logic, I feel like, you know, how Obi-Wan is led a lot by logic, when he, you know, leads with his emotions, and he will disregard most things if it gets in the way, so.
Yeah. No, I do love that kind of struggle as well, especially the arc when, you know, Ahsoka gets framed, and that's when you really start to see, like, he's getting pissed off, and, like, he
won't stop anything until he finds out who's behind it.
That's why I like how they paired him with Plo Koon. If I have any regrets, it's that Plo Koon didn't get more time in the series, because he's just awesome.
Agreed.
How about you, Justin?
Alright, so I'm Justin, and my favorite character would probably be Luke Skywalker. Just because of, like, the humanity of him, and, like, how, like, basically a moisture farmer, like the nobody notion that anybody can, like, turn into a hero.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, I do love how it's you know, I feel like I say this a lot, but it feels like the Shakespeare quote of, like, some men are born great, and that's Anakin. He was born out of greatness. Some men achieve great things, and that's Luke. Where he wasn't the chosen one, like, his path wasn't already obvious. It wasn't set in stone, so he had to go out and actually make the things happen, and I just love that. And then real quick, in the chat, someone asked my thoughts on Darth Venomous. Darth Venomous is trash. He's a character from the Plagueis book, who was never truly a Darth. He gave himself the Darth title, and all he did is serve as an experiment for Plagueis to kill and bring back to life over and over again, so he could do tests on his midichlorians. But yeah, so for me, I have two schools of thought here. I mean, if we are talking all of Star Wars, including Legends, then I gotta give it to my girl Jaina Solo, because Jaina is the best.
Yeah.
Especially in the last book of the what's the series called? The one before Fate of the Jedi, when she has to take down her brother. Anyways, it was just super cool, because she, like, fights her brother, gets her butt kicked, and he basically is like, you can't beat me, because I know all of the Jedi's tricks, plus all these extra Sith tricks. Like, there's no way you are going to be able to stand up against me. And so, and he's right. So she goes and trains with Boba Fett, and they teach her how to actually use swords, right? Because Jedi don't actually know how to fight with a sword, because a lightsaber has no edge, it's different weight-wise and all this stuff. And so she actually trains with the Mandalorians and learns a bunch of new tricks, and it's just really cool. And then she goes back and whoops them. But in canon, my boy Plo Koon. And there's really no reason. I just love Plo Koon so much. I used to play the game Jedi Power Battles, and he had this orange lightsaber, and so cool. But yeah, do you guys have questions for me?
Alright, so You go.
Yeah, I have a question. It revolves around your rankings. We actually have the sequels ranked in the same order, just out of the three. Last Jedi was by far my favorite, and then Rise of Skywalker was my least favorite. And I know your channel is very positive and centered around positivity, so I've never had this question asked or answered. What is it about Rise of Skywalker? It's dead last on my list as well, and it's not the Rey Skywalker thing, but I'm just curious, what sets that so low for you?
So for me, and I mean, by the way, my rankings have kind of changed over time. What's funny is my views on the movie have changed drastically, but it hasn't changed its spot. So I used to actively dislike the movie.
Same here. Yes, same here.
And I no longer dislike it. I like the movie now and can appreciate it in a lot of parts, especially after my last podcast with had Sawyer on it. That's her favorite movie, and like hearing it from their perspective is awesome. For me, there is just a bunch of disconnects from the writing standpoint. Like for one thing, I think they went to like one too many planets at the beginning.
Yeah, that's my big problem.
Yeah,
it feels like half the movie's wasted. Just almost.
Like J.J. Abrams does this thing, and he does it in all of his movies, where two characters are going to talk and actually move their internal plot forward and make a connection, and right before they get to that point, right before they say the thing they need to, someone runs in and they're like, we have to run and like do this thing, and so it tricks you into thinking they had character growth, but they didn't. They just got interrupted and had to run off and do something.
Like the quicksand and
No, absolutely. He also likes to throw in just unnecessary forced humor in this scene, which I also don't like.
They fly now.
They fly now. The other thing is, I'm always hyper aware of what I know as the viewer versus what these characters know or should know. And so sometimes, and it's also a J.J. Abrams thing, he plays with nostalgia in a way where the characters should have no idea what's going on. Like, it doesn't make sense in the story.
Right.
So, like, at the beginning where they're like, Palpatine has returned, and everyone's like, who? And you're like, who? Did you guys know he was a Sith Lord? Because nobody knew that.
Yeah, like, they were like
only,
Sith
only
magic.
Only Luke saw that. No one else did. And like, there's certain things where I don't know. Plus, I feel like they did my boy Finn dirty in that movie. But other than that, there's still a lot. There's still a lot to enjoy, though. I mean,
I feel like so many people focus on the Rey Skywalker part, and you posted a video the other day, and it really like put things in perspective for me, because I wasn't a fan of it when I first watched it, but I have an adopted brother, and so when you made the connection in your TikTok, to people who are adopted or have joined a new family, it really cast a new light on the whole scene.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I mean, I was in the say. It's funny because that stuff changes me a lot. Like, I used to always make fun of stupid infomercials where like it's people using products really badly, and you're like, who has this problem? Like, who is this product for?
Yeah.
And then someone pointed out, yeah, it's for the elderly or the disabled. It's not for you. And it was like,
yeah.
Oh, now I feel horrible making fun of these for all these years. Like, I know, that's kind of how I view it. But yeah, I've come to terms with the whole Rey Skywalker thing. It's not what I wanted, but even me, like, on my dad got remarried to a woman that had 2 kids, and then they had 2 kids. So, like, even in my family, and the woman he married is white, and her ex-husband was Filipino. So So we have a family photo with me and my sister and my dad, and then he has 2 mixed kids and a white wife, and then her daughter, who's Filipino, is there too. And it looks like you're like, who are all these people? But you're like, this is how families look now. It's a thing. And,
Yeah, no, for sure. My brother's from Cameroon, so I can relate to that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. But how about you guys? Do you have questions?
I was wondering. So I've seen like a Star Wars theory on this, and I wanted to get.
Sorry. Let's have Toxico first. You can keep going.
Okay. So I like I said, I saw a Star Wars theory on this, and I was wondering what your perspective would be on it. So I was wondering what you would think what would happen if Qui-Gon never died and he actually got to train Anakin like he wanted to. I mean, I know that he might not have gotten to train Anakin, but because the Council only allowed it because it was kind of his dying wish. If they allowed him to train Anakin, how differently do you think the story would work out?
I think it'd be super different. I mean, the whole reason that Anakin fell, like, a lot of people blame it on the Jedi, but it was because of Palpatine. Like, there's an actual Sith Lord who is on purpose pushing him towards the dark side since he was 9. And he looked up to that person as a father figure and would go to him for advice and just get, like, manipulated more and more each time. Yeah, if he had Qui-Gon teaching him, then that would fix that problem right then and there. He wouldn't have to go to Palpatine, and then Palpatine couldn't be able to do anything. And I honestly think that Anakin could have been the person to bring about change in the Jedi Order. Honestly, with Qui-Gon teaching him like how to rely on the living Force and how to follow the Force itself, and with how powerful Anakin was, it was only a matter of time till he gets on the Council. And if he did get on the Council, then I think he could make super big changes to the Order. But this would be a really good TikTok. I'm gonna make that.
Because I think honestly that Obi-Wan wasn't really ready to train Anakin. At least I don't think he was ready for the full thing, especially right after his master died. And he didn't finish his training after being a Jedi Knight. He really didn't get what like Anakin got, where he got Obi-Wan past where he was a Jedi Knight. And so that's why I was wondering what you were thinking on it.
Yeah, totally. Obi-Wan wasn't ready to train. Literally, it was the same day that he gets knighted. And he's like, yep, and I got a Padawan who is has more midichlorians than I am. I'm not prepared to teach. And and he's way older than any student. I don't know. We'll just roll with it. It's a weird
I was thinking that, maybe they would think that Yoda would train him because, Yoda's been training people for over 800 years by that time. And, he may have a lower midichlorian count than Anakin, but he has about as close as you're going to get, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, but what's funny is Yoda was the one that was most against him joining.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'd still like to see it. But yeah, what's your question, Justin?
Oh, so you mentioned you didn't like the Rey Skywalker reveal. What would you rather have?
I liked Rey Nobody, which was their first choice. That was actually their decision. And they switched it up for the last movie, and it kind of to go back to Rise of Skywalker. So just one of the other reasons why it's not extremely high is because I felt like they gave in to the worst parts of our community. They tried to appeal to both groups, and you can't do that. That just doesn't work. And the people who didn't like it are still not going to like it. So I feel like they only made her a Palpatine because people complained of, why is she so powerful? And they're like, fine, let's just say this. That'll shut them up.
Fine, she'll be a Palpatine, I guess.
So yeah, that's that's kind of how I feel about it. How about you, Justin? Are you a fan of it?
Yeah, I'm really a fan of Rey Skywalker because I really wouldn't like her to try and redeem like the Palpatine name like Skywalker has been a hope or a signal of hope like for the galaxy for like 50 years.
I mean, in that part actually did make a lot of sense to me though. In The Force Awakens, when she first hears like, oh, this has a map to Luke Skywalker, she's like, Luke Skywalker? Like, he's real?
Yeah.
Like, she starts like fangirling over the name Luke Skywalker. That means that Luke Skywalker meant something to her growing up all these years. And then at the end of The Last Jedi, right, Luke brings a hope back to the entire galaxy, and then we see the little kids playing with their toys, and they're like, oh, and Luke Skywalker, and all this stuff. It makes sense that she would take the Skywalker name because that is once again the hope of the galaxy. You know what I mean? Like, so I kind of agree with that one.
I would have to. I respectfully disagree with you with your ranking of Rise of Skywalker. I would put it at number 2 for me, just for the nostalgia factors. Like when you hear all the Jedi that are talking to Rey and right before she kills Palpatine, and then when you see all the ships, you can see the Ghost like on the right behind the Millennium Falcon. And then it's all that, and you get to see the old Death Star and everything. And I definitely think they could have made that scene, the one scene where they are talking to her. I definitely think they could have made it better by actually having Force ghosts behind her, of like Canon and everyone. But I mean, it's still better than not having that scene in it at all.
Yeah, I hope that someday we get extended cuts of all these movies.
Probably.
I mean, I just watched Return of the King, the extended version. It's my first time watching Lord of the Rings. So I watched this 5-hour-long movie, and I loved it. And on Disney Plus, I feel like we can definitely get some of those going.
Yeah,
I would recommend the
Phantom Menace we get.
I'd recommend the novelization though for that scene, because in the novelization all of the different wings check in, and it's really cool because they're like Ghost Crew checking in. There's Inferno Squad checking in. There is like all of these different squads, and there's like it's so cool. So you can actually hear all of the different people who are at that battle.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that about Lord of the Rings. My buddy Jacob in the chat's actually we're about to watch Return of the King. I've never seen him. He's showing them to me all right now.
Nice.
So I'm about to watch Return of the King.
Yeah. Element 7 showed them to me for the very first time, so I was stoked on that. But real quick, do we have any final questions? I'm gonna grab the next group, and this has been fun.
Well, I have something to add.
I actually have just one more. So,
well, go ahead, Justin.
For the or if they did the extended version of the Phantom Menace, it would probably be like an hour pod racing scene. Like,
I'm down for it. I love pod racing so much.
Now this is pod racing.
How about you, Toxic?
I was wondering, why do you think Padme still chose Anakin? Because, I mean, to me, like, after he confided in her that he basically killed a bunch of sand people, having that as, a significant other doesn't really sound like a great thing. So I was like, what's her train of thought on that?
For mostly for plot. And a little bit because he's Hayden Christensen. I mean, you've seen him. But she sees the potential in him mostly, and like just because there is darkness in him doesn't mean that you give up. And that's how Padme has been about everything. Yes, there's bad stuff in it. Yes, there's corruption in the Senate. But she's not going to give up on the Senate. yeah, is the embodiment of the hope that is the through line throughout all of Star Wars.
I have one quick question. It's kind of a joke, but what do you have any tips and tricks for Jedi Academy? I'm playing through it the first time, and I appreciate the realism of the fights, but man, it's a sneaky hard game. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, quick save often.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
And
No,
like there's one level where you're like on the side of this cliff and you're facing all these reborn. Just throw them all off the cliff. Don't fight them. Just toss them.
force push off the cliff. Okay.
Also, single lightsaber is actually the most efficient weapon in the whole game. Just changing stances. I still prefer double myself, but yeah, single is actually the most effective.
Okay. I was using single. I just switched to double. I just got to that point in the game where they allow you to switch through, pick your kind of lightsaber. But yeah,
it's an awesome game. But yeah, thank you guys so much for popping out. This has been super
Thanks
cool.
for having
Thanks
me.
for letting us on.
Thanks. This is a great idea. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use some more of these. But yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind heading back to the other room, and I will pull the next group in.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
Thank you.
Well, what's happening? How does
Oh.
this work? Help!
The stream's delayed, so I got scared. I was like, did my keyboard break?
No.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I hope it's not bad. I asked that you guys all come in together so that I don't want anyone to be. I know. I thought it would be a good idea. So I hope that's not.
Oh no, we're fine. We've been having an awesome conversation so far, so it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's a safe bet for the first group. I think.
You never know. So I hedge my bets when possible. But yeah, let's start by going around. I mean, I already know who all of you guys are, but you can introduce yourself and just tell me what is your favorite aspect of the Star Wars universe. And I will go to Off-Brunette first.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Maddie, Off-Brunette on TikTok and stuff. Star Wars wise, I mean, I'm really into film and cinema. All my pictures in the background, you probably can't see them. But that aspect of Star Wars I really love, like just the cinematography, the acting, little technical things I really love about the movies.
Awesome. Love it. And Julia?
I'm Julia. I'm Julia Christine 77 on TikTok. I'm a baby TikToker, but I have Scorpio'd my way into the heart of the community by sheer force of will, and my desire to spread, to spread the wonderful news of the quirky Kenobi conspiracy. But in all honesty, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a little kid. Attack of the Clones was the first movie I saw in theaters, and so even one of the films that a lot of people dislike, it was like mind blowing to me. And I'm just a huge. I think my favorite thing about Star Wars are the characters. In general, I love the sort of array and depth of the characters that we have, and seeing them kind of develop, and then seeing brand new characters brought in, and overall, I just can't get enough of them.
Nice. I love it. And how about you, Maria?
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm Maria_Skywalker on TikTok. My favorite aspect of Star Wars is probably pre-Empire prequel era. It's like my favorite thing ever, and whenever I watch either the Clone Wars or anything surrounding that era, it's just like mind-blowing to me. And I love the depth of each and every character, especially Anakin. He's my favorite. So yeah.
Okay, Anakin's your favorite. Nice. So prequels are. What's funny is is I feel like my list confuses a lot of people because the prequels are still my favorite era, but you don't get that by looking at my list. But
yeah.
Because the Clone Wars adds so much to the prequel era that it's these four things together that move it up to the top. Plus, we get a lot of like lore and like world building and all this stuff. Versus like, even though I like Rebels more than Clone Wars, Rebels doesn't affect the original trilogy for me pretty much at all. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But
yeah, the Clone Wars was kind of my gateway drug back into Star Wars. Star Wars and I had a really big breakup a couple years ago, and I was like, I just can't anymore. You know, it's not a good time, and I think we need space. And then I realized how much I loved it and sort of got back into it. And then I got the brainworm, and now we're here. But
oh, you went silent on me.
Your mic might have disconnected or something, your earbud, your headphones.
Let's see. Am I back?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. My headphones are kind of janky, but I don't remember what I was saying. But I do love the Clone Wars, especially, I guess I was talking about the reverse engineering of, like, moments. One of the first videos I had that ever really took off was me basically saying everything Obi-Wan says to Anakin in Attack of the Clones means about 500 times more if you understand it as lived experience as opposed to just what he has to tell Anakin as a master regarding attachment and relationships. And I think that's a really, like, obviously that's not intended in that film, but it still adds a level of enjoyment that makes me like it more. And I think that's a really fun thing that Star Wars can do, is like add things in retroactively, but not necessarily as, well, I guess maybe that it is a retcon, but if so, I love it, because him saying like, hey, like, she's going to do her job and you're going to do yours. It's like, yes, you know that from experience, right? You both decided to do your job. And I think that's just a really fun, there's just so many moments like that from Clone Wars that expand the world and the characters in really interesting ways.
Yeah, definitely. And it is technically a retcon. I find most people use the term retcon incorrectly, but it's retroactive continuity. It is past information inserted in that changes these future things. But yeah, I mean, so without the Clone Wars, the prequels, they fall flat in a lot of areas because we don't have any reference for Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship at all. Plus, like, we get Order 66, but we don't know any of those people at all. Not really. But yeah, did you guys have questions for me? Maddie?
Not really sure if I have a question at the top of my head right now, if anyone else wants to go.
Sure.
I can just maybe add on to what she was saying. So I've loved Star Wars ever since I was 5, but I did fall out of it just because I had no opportunities to expand my knowledge. Like, I just didn't at the time. And during quarantine, I kind of was like, The Last Jedi came out. I had no idea. So then I watched it and I was like, wait a second, this is why I love it. And The Last Jedi isn't my favorite movie. It might be more towards the end of my list, but I still appreciate it so much for the fact that it involved me back into Star Wars, and it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. So I fell into a deep hole of just engulfing myself in Star Wars knowledge and trying to figure out everything possible. I'm more into canon, though, not so much Legends, but I do appreciate some Legends knowledge, too.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I love both of them myself.
A question for you I just thought of right now. I'm not crazy into lore just because reading books and stuff is an issue for me. So, like, Legends and things like that, it's hard. So I like learning tidbits from you and other creators that do lore. So I'm wondering, is there, like, a moment where you found a piece of lore that, like, just changed your perspective on something major?
Oh, my goodness.
It's an excellent question.
A lot of times. And a lot of it is Claudia Gray related. But, well, for one thing, I will say, yes, that book changes the entire Phantom Menace for me, Master and Apprentice.
It's so good. I love Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people's. I mean, Qui-Gon's a lot of people's favorites and has been for a long time. But to get to spend time with him and get in his head. Also, I absolutely love relationships between current and former Padawans of the same person. So like him with Rael Averross is super cool. But I want to say that the biggest one actually comes from Legends to me. When I read the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, it is Legends. Highly recommend everyone reads it because I love it. I think it's incredible because it adds so much context to people and what they're thinking. Like, we don't get inside people's heads, and it makes Anakin's fall to the dark side so much more gradual and intense, and just make more sense. And it by itself makes Revenge of the Sith 10 times as good of a movie to me personally. But I gotta ask you though, Maddie, since you're into movie and filmmaking and writing, did you? I can't remember if I saw your list. So I'm curious, what are your top 3?
Yeah, my list is very interesting. I talk about it a lot with people. Just talking generally, all the movies I find them enjoyable. There's some movies I wish I can appreciate more, which will just come with me rewatching them. But bottom of my list is Solo. Love the idea. I love Donald Glover acting and stuff. Cinematically, it's a great movie, but I'm just not that connected with it, with the characters and stuff. Then I have The Phantom Menace. I honestly don't hate it. None of the movies I really hate. And then, if I'm remembering my list right, I have, what am I thinking of? Rogue One. Rogue One, as I know, is a decent amount of people's favorites. That's a movie I want to appreciate more. Just because, I mean, the characters and stuff, and then, the actors like Diego Luna. I've watched some of his movies that came out in, the 2010s, and I'm just I want to watch it and appreciate what he does, what the actress that Jyn Erso does. So, I'm going to have to rewatch that movie a few times more. And then I have Attack of the Clones. Okay, movie. Then I have The Rise of Skywalker. I love the sequels, but some parts of the movie just don't get me. And then I have the... what am I thinking of? Then I have the OT trilogy just in order, so New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. I don't have much thoughts on those movies. They're all pretty good. I love them all. And then Revenge of the Sith. I love Obi-Wan and Anakin. They're dynamic. There's some things I wish were better, but just like me personally, I still like the movie. And then Force Awakens, and then The Last Jedi is my favorite. The Last Jedi just does a lot of things right for me.
Okay.
Cinematically wise. Maybe not lore or other things wise, but it does a lot of good things that I like.
Yeah, I'm always curious when people are into film, how that... I actually plan to make more posts with my lists, divided into... Because this is based off my favorites, but I can make another one based off what I think is actually the highest quality. And then, if you're into action, this would be your list.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I'll probably do something like that. But yeah, do you guys have more questions?
I should make I think I'll make a list of how is Obi-Wan in it and how hot is he? So looking at ranking the films, it's important, and I think people need to know the best order to watch it in if you're just looking for prime Obi-Wan content.
Attack of the Clones #1.
Yeah, exactly. It's the mullet, and you don't expect it. And I just love that he, after being a Padawan, was like, you know what I want to do stylistically with my hair? The answer is the mullet. And everyone just had to accept that. And maybe some people were upset how good it turned out. I can imagine Quinlan Voss being, it's not going to look good. And then he sees it, and he's like, actually, it's amazing, Obi-Wan. I was wrong.
I mean, we sadly his best appearance is not canon, but the 2003 Obi-Wan.
Amazing. It's really a force. It was just powerful. I was worried. I was like, well, he's getting, he's older now. I'm probably still not going to find him as attractive because, he's older. And then I saw the picture of him training, and I was like, oh no, oh no, he's still going to be hot. But Yeah. So it'll be. I mean, obviously, if you say Kenobi 3 times, I do actually appear in your home. So just as a warning to everyone watching, don't do it because I'll be there and I'll be like 16 flashback, and then it's very upsetting to people. So just putting that out there.
I feel like the one of the biggest problems with the Star Wars community is just not being able to recognize a difference in a list of like your likes and your loves and your connection to the movie, and a difference in quality. Because I got dragged for putting Attack of the Clones in my top 4. I love the movie. I just love it. I've always loved it. You get Jango and Boba Fett, you get Kamino, you get Battle of Geonosis, you get Yoda versus Dooku. I just love the movie. And people couldn't comprehend that I think the movie isn't the best quality. I agree. I know that. But I just love the movie. And I feel like that's where a lot of people don't recognize that there's 2 different lists that you can have. And typically the ones that people post is your love for the movie, not really by quality, unless you say so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Maria, did you have any more questions for me?
No, I didn't think of any questions, but
okay, no worries. Any final thoughts before we swap out for the next group?
No, I think I'm good.
Awesome. This has been a lot of fun. We'll definitely be doing some more of these. And I believe I believe we'll be talking more off brunette.
Yeah. This Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So she's going to be on the Dyad podcast this weekend with me and Element 7. So that should be a lot of fun. But
yeah, she told us. I'm very happy for her. That's actually really cool.
And also, I do plan to have Julia on for Clone Wars seasons 1 and 2 talk. So. And yes, I will have you on at some point. I'm not trying to leave you out. So
I didn't want it to be like a... It's so funny.
But yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind hopping back to the other room, and I will bring the next group.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Hello. How's it going?
What's up?
Hello there.
Hi.
And we're waiting for Joey.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. All right. I'm hopefully here. Right there, yeah.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. Do you guys hear random Spanish in the background?
A little
bit.
Okay. All right, but that's all good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I love the posters. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then up here I also got Baby Driver and Ready Player One.
Nice. Okay. So we got a film guy. I like it. Let's start by going around, and for this one we will do, let us know who you are and what is your favorite what question should I ask? Favorite Jedi. We'll keep it simple. Favorite Jedi and why? And also, would you be a Jedi or a Sith? And I'll go to Carter first, which I have a feeling I know his answer on one of these, but
so I'm Carter. My favorite Jedi would probably be Obi-Wan. I don't really know why. I just really liked him in Revenge of the Sith. I don't really have much other reasoning than that.
Solid choice.
No, nothing wrong with that. And would you be a Jedi or
Yeah.
a Sith?
See, I'd be a Jedi and whatnot, but I would use
like the dark side of the Force. Like I wouldn't go by the Jedi ways, but I'd still be like on the Jedi side. I wouldn't turn to like the Sith and whatnot. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Quinlan Voss tried that.
Yeah.
Didn't end up super well for him, but no, I love it. And how about you, Joey?
Yeah, my name's Joe. I think my favorite Jedi, it's gonna be a little basic of a choice, but Luke Skywalker. You know, I'm a big Mando guy. I loved season 2, the finale. Everything about that was so good. But yeah, and if I had to choose between Sith or Jedi, I'd choose Jedi because the Sith always lose, and that would suck.
But when they're winning, they're having a good time.
That's true. Oh, actually, is Vader having a good time though?
That depends on what you're into. How about you, Moose?
I'm AJ. My favorite Jedi is also Luke because my favorite movie is Last Jedi. So I like what they did with him. I was perfectly fine with it. And I would be a Jedi because I would want to just hang out with Yoda.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Luke and Yoda hanging out in The Last Jedi is, like, to me, that's peak Star Wars. That's just, it was just so beautiful. But yeah, I mean, did you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question. When do the slaves on Tatooine get freed, and do they?
So they don't get freed from Tatooine. Like, slavery doesn't end on Tatooine. But Padme sends Sabe there to free as many of them as she can find, and just with her own personal wealth that she's kind of made. But and her ultimate goal was trying to find Shmi, Anakin's mom, and she never found her because she was already free at that point. But yeah, they don't really get freed. Slavery still exists on Tatooine.
Yeah, I was always confused because Anakin kept mentioning how he was going to free the slaves in the Phantom Menace, and then they never really said anything about it. So
yeah, and then after Anakin falls, he's kind of a dick. He no longer cares about that type of thing, you know.
I think he supports slavery after he becomes Vader.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much. But yeah, how about you, Joe?
I actually had a question. You've seen the Bad Batch trailer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I was honest. So when I saw it, there's the scene with Fennec, right? And I don't know what do you think her role is going to be?
Ooh, I think it's going to be interesting because, like, I mean, I don't know what her role is either, but since she is like a bounty hunter type person who has all these, has all this money on her head, like she's like a prize catch. It'll be cool to see her, someone that is that skilled, working with the Bad Batch. I think she's going to help them kind of escape. I think during their journeys, they're going to need help from like a bunch of different groups and people. And so I think Fennec is just one of them. But I also hope that through this, we also get more information from these bounty hunters, or maybe more stuff from Krait's Claw. And maybe they can canonize the scene where Cad Bane gets shot in the head.
Yeah, I hope so.
And we may see the start of her and Boba Fett's relationship that's going to carry forward. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm just excited to see it because I love Ming-Na Wen, that actor and all the stuff that she does. Like, loved her in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's Mulan. She's the voice of the animated Mulan. She's just awesome.
Oh, she is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah. And how about you, Carter? Any questions?
So like the sequel trilogy is my favorite. And whenever I like tell someone that, they always come back with like Luke's character was ruined and whatnot, and he would never go to the island. But isn't that like exactly what Yoda did in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Like I feel like a lot of the people miss the whole point of that movie. Of like you can have someone like Michael Jordan, who is a lot of people look up to, but you have to realize Michael Jordan has a private life. He has a wife and a family. I'm sure him and his wife argue sometimes. Like he had problems with gambling and all this stuff, but it's always way behind the scenes. You only see like the heroic side. And when you watch The Last Jedi, what does everyone's like? We see behind the scenes, right? But to everyone else, all they saw is in their darkest hour, he walks out and they fire like billions of shots at him, doesn't touch him, he brushes his shoulder off, and then he fights Kylo Ren and they all escape. Like, from those people's perspectives, he is like the most amazing thing ever, and lives up to that legend. And I think a lot of people don't realize that that's the whole point. That's, you are seeing the legendary side, but he is a person. He is fallible, and he failed a lot in every time that we've seen him. I know it's weird because what he did is super in character. At least to me. But yeah, I can talk about that all day long.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, so I do want to approach it from one more angle too. I've said this before, but that's one of the reasons that I enjoy him in I loved him in The Mandalorian season 2, because we got to see him like in his prime. And so imagine that same guy who picked up Grogu and said, I will protect him with my life. Imagine that guy. He starts at a Jedi school. It would be... And he looks into Ben's mind. He only sees darkness. And he sees that this kid is potentially going to murder everyone. He's going to bring death and destruction to everyone. And then he has to, like, in a split second, think, what is my obligation? Is it to the Jedi? Am I supposed to arrest him? Do I turn him in? But he's my family. He's my blood. But if I don't do anything, he could kill all of these children who I've sworn my life to protect. Like, you can see all of this stuff happening. It's almost like if you were a teacher and one of your favorite students that you knew very personally shot up the school, and you knew that he had that darkness, you knew that he had that potential to do it, and you didn't do anything to stop him. Do you feel responsible for those deaths? Like, that's enough to break a person, in my opinion. Would you want to look that kid's parents in the eyes? I don't know. Sorry if that got dark.
Especially if that kid's your nephew.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't just walk into a family reunion after that. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, yeah, I know I messed up your nephew, but
yeah,
I brought cake.
But yeah, I mean, what else? What other questions you guys have?
Would you rather see Grogu be like a Mandalorian, or would you rather see him be a Jedi?
I would rather him be a Mandalorian, because that would be the most adorable thing ever. Like, just a little tiny in armor, but like still moves like Yoda. So like it's flipping around and shooting people in the face. That would be amazing.
Imagine have like cuts in the sides of the helmet for his ears. His ears just.
Yeah, so I do hope he comes back and trains to be a Mandalorian, and still potentially wields the Force. I don't know. That'll be cool.
Maybe he'll recreate the Darksaber.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we all have been speculating that maybe the Darksaber comes from using like the Great Dragon's Pearl, which we got to see one of those in the first episode of that season. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what happens next season on The Mandalorian, because we just need Grogu back, you know. I don't know how the show's gonna work without him, to be honest.
Yeah.
But what is so Joy? What is your what are your top 3 Star Wars films?
All right, number 3 is Revenge of the Sith. That's just the one I grew up with. I love everything about it. I could probably recite to you line for line everything in that movie. My number 2 is The Last Jedi. I actually recently rewatched it, and I thought it was phenomenal. I love what Rian Johnson did, like with just like how the story like played out. Like everything really just made sense. Especially like if you rewatch it, you kind of get like, oh, so this is what I missed the first time I watched it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Enough said, you know.
Yeah, no, you can't go wrong. Oh man, so I appreciate being around other people that like The Last Jedi. It's funny because people act like, I've noticed that like the more toxic side of the community likes to pretend that everyone agrees with me and everyone hates it and all this stuff. And you're like, no, the people who like it just don't want to talk to you.
That's actually a fun fact, is that I actually used to hate the movie. Like, I despised it. I was one of those like kids that were like, Kathleen Kennedy's ruining Star Wars. Just keyboard warrior. But I just kind of like, I changed, I guess. Like, I had just a change of heart. I rewatched it, loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's character development. We love it. I also think it's funny because there is a lot of Kathleen Kennedy hate, but I feel like none of those people actually know what her job is.
Yeah.
I had no clue what her job was when I hated her. I saw her. She was the guy that is in the clickbait thumbnails of all the videos. She's the person I'm supposed to hate.
Yeah, she's the one that's making all this like female stuff, and you're like,
this SJW garbage. What is this? This isn't Star Wars.
Like, she doesn't write it. She's not writing the stuff. You know that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and like people are boycotting the High Republic because she still has a job, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Why?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah,
it's just stupid.
Oh yeah, guys, let's boycott the person that was basically responsible for hiring all the guys for the second season of Mandalorian. Let's fire that person.
The thing that also I think is funny is so Kathleen Kennedy is Lucasfilm. She's not Disney, but people refer to her as if she's Disney. But you know who is Disney? It's Jon Favreau. He knows all this stuff and used all this technology in The Lion King and in the Jungle Book and in Jungle Book 2. Like, he's been, you know, in all the Iron Men except the first one. Like, he's been with Disney for all these years, but people don't lump him in with the Disney side of things for some weird reason. I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense, and it is sad. I did see the people trying to boycott the High Republic, and some of them are still mad over Gina Carano, who I still maintain was not fired, but they're saying they're mad that she was canceled, so they're going to try and cancel Kathleen Kennedy, but they've been trying to cancel Kathleen Kennedy for the past 5 years. So are you for cancel culture?
Listen,
or are you against?
Yeah, there's no reasoning with the unreasonable, you know.
It feels so obvious. I don't know, but it is.
Sometimes they try to hide the fact that they just don't like women.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's true. Like
It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean, hit the
like
nail
we all
on the head.
think it, but we don't say it out loud. But we all know.
Especially that whole forces female thing. But
Didn't that have nothing to do with Star Wars? Is that I remember seeing a video that you did on it. It was just a Nike promotion.
yeah, had nothing to do with Star Wars at all. But yeah, do you guys have any more questions? No. Okay.
No.
This is fun. I mean, I'm liking like talking to people and stuff, and it gets me ideas of who else I can bring on the podcast and all this stuff. So thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Actually, not a question. But for your next question, for like the next group, should be what planet would you live on? I don't know if you've already said that or not, but if you haven't,
but that is a good question.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So if you guys are also watching this on YouTube, yeah, I will ask that next.
Yeah, I'll probably be watching it.
All right, guys. Yeah, if you guys don't mind hopping out of the room, and I will bring in the next group of people. But yeah, you guys have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Love your content. Yeah, see you. Good talking with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hello.
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 Hello there. I was almost about to do the obligatory General Kenobi. Here, let me turn my camera on.
I don't know what happened.
Nice to see you, Jocko. How you doing? You alright?
I'm doing awesome. I'm having a blast here.
All right, there we go. Hi.
Definitely will be doing more of
Yeah,
these.
let me just turn my volume up a little bit. That's better.
And Harith, can I hear you?
Yeah, sorry, I just have it on push to talk. I don't want to like have my like background noise and whatever.
Okay, cool beans. Thank you.
Hello there. Am I heard?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, good.
Pull this down a little bit. All right, perfect. And yeah, let's start. We're gonna go around with you can introduce yourself, and then what planet would you live on in Star Wars, and what would you do?
Ooh, that's a good one. So yeah, I'm Jay, but most people will know me as Jay Skywalker guy over on TikTok. I mainly do a lot of comedy cosplay stuff, so things like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've dabbled in a bit of Anakin, the scar. I've also done a Korg cosplay as well. But yeah, if I was a Star Wars, if I lived on a Star Wars planet, I would live on Mustafar because I'm hot as I'm a huge Obi-Wan simp, and yeah, I think I'm incredibly excited to see what is going to happen in the new Obi-Wan series. Chucko, what about you? Any predictions?
Ooh, I do have some predictions, but let's first get all the introductions, and I'll come back to that. All right,
I am.
How about you? Or not?
I was like, who's gonna go next?
Harith, you go ahead and go.
Hi, I'm Harith. You probably know me on TikTok, probably not. I'm kind of small. And I would say my favorite planet, I'd probably say I would live on Coruscant. I don't know, I just kind of like the under-city area with all the crime, that kind of stuff. I kind of like that, like, underbelly stuff of Coruscant.
Sorry, that just wasn't what I expected. I live here because of all the crime.
I don't know. It's just entertaining. I don't know. It's Star Wars.
Hey kid, do you want to buy some death sticks?
God.
So how about you, Core Gamer Skills?
I am X-Core Gamer Skills. My name's Pat. I would live probably on Naboo and be a mechanic because that's what I do in real life, and I'm good at it.
Awesome. All right, so let's prediction. Oh, my Obi-Wan predictions. I'm super hyped for the show. Whew. I mean, definitely we need to see some flashbacks. We need some Obi-Wan PTSD that's gonna make me cry. If I don't cry at least once, I'm gonna be disappointed. We're gonna need the scene. It's actually from the Ahsoka book where Obi-Wan walks up to Shmi's grave and he like is apologizing for losing her son. Yeah, I just want to cry. Predictions are other than that. Satine, we need some Duchess Satine, and I saw that that actor is cast in it, and she actually looks like Satine. So I think we're gonna get
I saw that
expansion on that relationship. Plus, it was also confirmed from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back, that Siri Tachi from Legends is canon, and Obi-Wan like had a thing for her, and it talks about how guilty he felt in the Jedi lunchroom, touching her hand and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm hoping for some some spicy Obi-Wan content. Also,
that's what I'm excited for as well. I think I posted a video back in, I think it was January. I think end of January, beginning of February, and I think I just heard a rumor somewhere that Obi-Wan was going to face off against Darth Vader again. But I think, like you said, Choco, it's probably going to be in some sort of flashback scene. I don't know. I mean, if it's anything like the S-38 reimagined, I think it'll be epic. I think, anything where we're going to see Obi-Wan throw down some sick lightsaber skills against Darth is just going to be chef's kiss.
Yeah, definitely. And how about you, Gamer Skills? What are you most excited for? What upcoming project?
I go back and forth between the Ahsoka show and Rogue One. I'm not I want to know more about the setting of Rogue One. Is it going to be New Republic, or is it going to be OT era? But that one, I love fighters and jets and all that. So doing that in space is going to be, if that's done well, and I think it will be. That's one of my projects, and then Ahsoka, because I need to find out what happened to Ezra and Thrawn. That's been bothering me for, 3 years now, whenever that aired. I was just like, what? No.
Same, absolute same. I need to find out what happened. I love Thrawn so much, and hopefully this is the Rebels reclamation, just like Rebels added on to Clone Wars stuff. That's what I need to make sure the Ahsoka does.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm most excited for is the fact that the background is the Virgin Scatter, the world between worlds, and I'm like, what does that mean? What is that about? I need answers.
Yeah, I have a theory. The coolest thing about the New Republic was the Force can go across space. Yoda helped out from wherever the heck he was, and I was thinking what if you don't need a portal to access the Virgin Scatter? What if you can if you know what you're doing, or even by accident, you can get there just by using the Force? And of course, we know Ahsoka is the daughter embodiment now. So, what if she figures that out?
Yeah. So and going along with that, I actually think that hyperspace itself is innately part of the Force. Because if we think about how the Virgin Scatter works and how it is, I mean, when you're in hyperspace, you're in a bubble of space-time, essentially, and maybe that is leaving the regular plane and dipping into, partially into the Force, and that's why the Purgle do it, is they're Force sensitive. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why the Santeca, what was her name?
Mari.
The old lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why she can do what she does.
I mean, what she does, isn't that also similar to what the Loth Wolves did?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah.
So I have a bunch of things cooking, but none of them are ready. So I don't like make any TikToks about them just yet because they're all just fragments. But hopefully I can like put the picture together. How about you, Harith? What are you excited for?
That sounds like very stereotypical, but Kenobi and Ahsoka as well. Mostly because for the Ahsoka stuff, I know a lot of people are like don't watch Rebels and Clone Wars because they're scared. Oh, for children, I don't want to like associate myself with that. So I'm hoping that brings in people back into those shows because they have elements and hopefully it ties in well enough that brings most of the fandom back in. And for Kenobi, same reasons. I'm really hoping they lean into his PTSD. I hope like my like dream would be like the performance of Ewan McGregor from Doctor Sleep, if any of you guys seen that, and like the tonality of Logan. Just kind of like that would be like my perfect version of Kenobi.
Ooh. Yeah. No, that sounds like a recipe for winning all sorts of awards and being chilling. I will say I do hope it is a little bit faster of a burn than like Mando is. I mean, I love Mando, but the show itself is a slow burn. And so I don't know. We'll see. I just want to see how they play around with it myself. But yeah, what do you guys? Did you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, I think we were chatting on it's either my ranking video or another video, and we were talking about the rankings of where kind of our, well, not your ranking, but my rankings were mainly like the original trilogy. And I was just chatting to the guys in the waiting room as well. And being a bit of an older guy myself, I grew up watching the older trilogy. So Luke, A New Hope. I had New Hope as number one, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, New Hope, okay." I mean, what are your thoughts on sort of the original trilogy? I mean, is that kind of one of your go-to comforts, or are you, where does your kind of your heart sit when it comes to, that sort of ranking? Are you? I think were you more sort of like Clone Wars, Rebels, or would you kind of lean into maybe the sequels, prequels, original trilogy? Where would your heart lie?
Yeah. So I was saying it earlier that it's hard to place me because of how my list functions, but because of my age, I grew up getting into Star Wars when the special editions were coming out, right? So those were my first steps into this greater universe. As such, I ended up being a prequel fanboy myself. Which is funny because none of the prequels are in my top 4 or in my top 3. But the Clone Wars as a show adds so much context and information to the prequels, plus all of the extra backstory and lore and all this stuff that it boosts it up to my favorite era. And then after that would be the original trilogy, because they're just solid. And I mean, I think like quality-wise, they are the best. That's the number one trilogy. If I'm just looking at quality, as much as I love the sequels, and I love The Last Jedi, but they are my least favorite trilogy overall. Where I stand with like A New Hope specifically, there's just all right. So when I make my list, I like all of the movies. People think, oh, this is low. That means you don't like. No, that doesn't mean I don't like it. So A New Hope is actually, to me, is baseline Star Wars. This is the measuring stick with which what is and isn't Star Wars to me. That's why it's and maybe it's a stupid way of thinking, but it's like forever tied to the middle of the list because it is my measuring stick, Yeah, so that's kind of where I am on that, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I think for a lot of people, I think I was saying to the guys in the waiting room, I grew up watching Star Wars at my dad's. I was born in '82, so we used to watch Star Wars on an old tape deck. The old top loaders, the top loading tape decks, and you have to put the tape in the top. And on old CRTV, while my dad would be in the background programming a Commodore 64 for us kids to play on, play some game on it over the weekend, and that was my way of growing up with Star Wars. So I'm kind of new into this, the whole Clone Wars and the Rebels. I'm on season 6 of Clone Wars now, and I'm lucky enough to be one of those people that are watching it now for the first time. And I'm excited I've heard so many great things about Rebels and the end of Clone Wars. But what does everyone else think about Clone Wars and Rebels? I mean, sell it to me. Tell me all about what's great about Clone Wars and Rebels. I'm excited to watch it.
What's exciting about that? I mean, well, you are lucky getting to watch it all at the same time, because, like, you just saw Ahsoka leave.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm on that episode. Yeah.
Now you can watch it for several years.
Yeah, if you were watching this when it happened, like I was, she's gone. We didn't know if she was ever gonna come back, and yeah, she just walked down those steps, and that was it. That was done. We didn't know that she was anything until. Well, I'm sure she's in Rebels, but it's been out for many years. But yeah, she was just gone for years, and you don't have to experience that. But if you are someone, I mean, I prefer Rebels to Clone Wars myself. It does have a slow start, just like Clone Wars has a slow start. But I think that while Clone Wars has higher highs, well, I mean, even that's kind of a stretch, but Clone Wars has a lot of lows, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of arcs. I'm sorry if you love it, but D Squad, I can't. I can't do that D Squad arc. And I think Rebels, since we're following this small core group, and like the found family aspect, just grows and propels itself over time, and each season is like twice as good as the last one. And yeah, you're gonna cry watching Rebels.
I'm excited now. I'm excited.
Tell us after season 2. When you get to the season 2 finale, you got to come back to us.
Season 2 finale is.
Don't forget the saber copters.
So while I hate those damn saber copters,
I'm here for it, man.
The season 2 finale is like the best thing to me. Like, it's one of the best like pieces of Star Wars to have ever been created. But then like season 3, we get into the trials of the Darksaber, and we get more Mandalorian lore in Rebels than anywhere else. The Force lore is amazing in Rebels as well, especially they keep going into that temple on Lothal, and then that keeps deepening, and by the time you finish it, if you rewatch it and you watch the first time they go into that temple, all of this other stuff will jump out at you. And Thrawn is just amazing. So yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
But yeah. How about you? Core gamer skills. I'm sorry, you said it was Kyle. What was your name again?
Pat. I'm Pat.
Pat. Okay, I'm sorry. Kyle. Hell's wrong with me?
Yeah, I don't. Sure.
But yeah. Did you have any questions or anything?
The only thing you and I have to talk about is Anakin and the Jedi, but I don't know if we have time to get into that here.
Oh yeah, no. I want to hear your thoughts on it though, because to me, I feel it's cut and dry.
So, like your thing is, you say they could have prevented his fall, but for me, like, and even just recently, the past couple of weeks, is like, honestly, I don't think they could. The Jedi at that point, like, I still totally think that they are at fault for what happened with everything. The Jedi at that point are so far from what I think they used to be. And reading the High Republic cemented that. They form these attachments, this master-student attachment, and they form all these other attachments, but they don't teach them. They don't raise these adults to deal with their emotions. They just say, no, you suppress it. You don't feel the grief. You don't feel the anger, the rage. Even Master Comac, he's not over the death of Master Cynics. Rafe learns that his master just died, and they're immediately like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? Who's your new master? Like, they don't give them time to process their emotions. You can't separate yourself from your emotions if you can't process them. So I don't think that the Jedi are at fault for Anakin, because they don't raise full adults. They raise, half adults even.
Okay. And I do get that. I absolutely. The place I always have to fall back on is that what would have happened to Anakin if Palpatine was not in the mix? Let's say Anakin never meets Palpatine.
Okay, but who brought him to Coruscant?
No,
like, what if they had never gone to Coruscant? I mean, he would have just hung out there pod racing. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, maybe he would have done something, but and yeah, I mean, the Palpatine thing, but at the same time is so Qui-Gon gets killed, and that's tragic, and then they let Obi-Wan, this guy who's grieving, immediately take a Padawan. Like, they should have been like, no, okay, we're gonna honor Qui-Gon's wishes. I'm gonna train him. I'm gonna teach him. Yoda's been training Padawans forever, and he's just like, no. He was afraid. He was afraid of this kid, and I said it today. I made a TikTok. I think that the reason he didn't want to train Anakin, and very possibly the same reason he didn't want to train Luke, is because he had his own Force vision. And what always happens with a Force vision is they meet the destiny that they're trying to avoid on the path they take to avoid it.
Okay. I love it. But all right, so I think I found my podcast topic for next week. If you're down next Wednesday.
Oh, I am. I'm completely down.
Yeah, because I think that could be a really cool topic, and if I can get Fern on it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think that could be a really, really fun and deep one. So I won't finish it there because we'll do it next week. But that's good. I love it. But how about you, Harith?
Kind of just to jump off that one, but I'm gonna go in a different direction with the what if. What if Anakin went to Mandalore? What do you think would have happened? Like, how do you think Revenge of the Sith would have played out with Anakin on Mandalore and Obi-Wan and Mace on Coruscant?
That's a good one. Maul would be dead. Yeah, but that's an interesting thing. Okay, so I'll have to call it like this. Maul would be dead. Obi-Wan would be dead. Because, so they sent Obi-Wan. If they had sent Obi-Wan, and who would they send with Obi-Wan, or would he go in solo?
I think Mace would go with him because he was the nearest on Coruscant.
Okay. And I mostly say it because we all know that Dooku just like owns Obi-Wan every time they look at each other. So I think that would be a bad fight. But yeah, I could see it playing out very differently, especially if someone like Mace came, because I think Mace would be able to take Dooku. And they would have arrested Dooku instead of killing him. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff would have just fallen apart completely. Because if they were able to arrest Dooku, then they could get the information from him, most likely, and figure out who Palpatine was and all that stuff. I mean, Mace was already... So, it's obviously not canon, but the Legends book called The Maze... No... Maze of Destiny? No, it's not Maze of Destiny. Crap. It's gonna bug me. But there's a Legends book that is the mission that Obi-Wan and Anakin were on, and it's the other half of the Siege of Coruscant, where that we saw part of it in the 2003 Clone Wars, where they come down and kidnap Palpatine in the first place. And in that book, Mace Windu, basically they figured out it was Palpatine, and that's the whole reason that Palpatine made the siege happen right then and there, was just as a big distraction. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'm sorry, I'll have to play that out a lot more in my head before I can give a coherent answer. I feel like I'm just rambling. But what do you think? How do you think it would turn out?
Honestly, I don't even think they would even get to Palpatine. I think the only reason why the Anakin and Obi-Wan got in is because Palpatine allowed them to get in. Because Palpatine wanted Anakin to get to Dooku, and Dooku was just toying with Anakin. So I don't even think Obi-Wan and Mace would even get to Dooku. I think it would be a longer event. I think Anakin would kind of tie himself off from Ahsoka, kind of like he did with Padmé and Obi-Wan. I think Ahsoka would feel what's wrong, but she would just kind of let it be. I definitely agree with you. I don't think Maul would survive. I think Anakin would just kill him right then and there.
Yeah.
Maybe Palpatine would get in his head somehow. Anakin I don't know how that would work.
Long ways this time. And then he'd come back as a quarter. In 10 years, they'd bring him back. It's just the weird.
That's it. He's coming back for the next set of trilogies. Palps is the evil villain again. How are they going to do this? I don't know how they're going to write it in the story. Is he going to come back in season 3 of The Mandalorian?
Just pure McDermott camp again.
You know who I want to see come back though I want more of his species is Admiral Trench, weird spider dude in Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, that guy.
I loved that guy, and I want to see more about him. Thank you. Element 7 mentioned in chat that the Legends book is Labyrinth of Evil, is what it's called.
Oh, I knew about that book because it's been referenced a couple of times.
I was close. What did I say? Maze of Destiny. That's
something like that.
I thought you were talking about Shatterpoint, but I didn't want to jump in.
So one of my favorite Legends things is to read the Plagueis book, then Labyrinth of Evil, and then the Revenge of the Sith novelization back to back, and it's this crazy and amazing, intricate story. But yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling a lot. Do you guys have any more questions?
Does Harris have a question? I don't think he asked a question.
No, I don't really have a question besides that one. I've been trying to think all day of one to do because that long discussion we had last night. So I'm just trying to think of something to grab from there because you kept telling me, "Hey, you need to say this during the podcast." So I'm trying to remember what to grab from there.
No worries. I mean, we have I have one last group, and I think that'll be enough for
I have one last thing to say.
Yeah.
I have one last thing to say. I've been waiting to talk to you. I was going to ask Element 2, but he's not here. So I'm going to go first with an aside, and then you guys can give your answer. So what would your Sith name be? And so I'll say mine. Mine would be Darth Trepidus. And I think that if George Lucas had written the original trilogy at the same time as he wrote the prequels, that would have been Vader's name because that's what Vader does. Vader brings that quaking fear to everybody. He is the embodiment of it. So that would be my Darth Trepidus. You guys can go.
Ooh. Do you guys have one?
Sorry, I didn't get the first half of it. I just heard you cut off halfway through.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
What would your Sith name be?
Oh, I never thought about that before.
I mean, the TikTok told me it's my first name backwards, which would be Darth Nardnob. Sorry, Nodnarb. Yeah.
I've got the same one. Mine would be Darth Lollipop. He does not strike fear into the hearts of the rebels at all. But no, aside from that, I'm actually creating a Sith cosplay for the Comic Cons when it opens back up, which is I'm creating like a metallic robotic kind of mech arm. And have you ever seen the images of the not a Darth Inquisitor, it's a Darth Magistrar. So it's like a helmet with the lines, the hood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, I'm still trying to come up with a name and a backstory for it all. But yeah, if you guys want to give me some ideas offline, I'm all ears.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna have to sit on the name for a bit, but I'll let you know when I get one.
Cheers.
And how about you, Harith? Any closing thoughts and or a Sith name?
Not really, but like I know my Sith name backwards would be like Aerith or whatever. Then I haven't really like thought of like a look or anything. I never really thought about that much.
No, that was just a random thought I had, because if you look at everybody else's Sith names in the prequel, you have Maul, and he's a weapon. You have Tyrannus, and he's a ruler, so his dark side of that is tyranny. You have Plagueis, who is trying to create and control life, and so what's the opposite of that is a plague. And then you have Sidious, who is insidious. Like, so I feel like if George was writing Vader at the same time as he did the prequels, I think he would have chosen Trepidus, because Vader is the embodiment of fear.
Yeah. And even going backwards, you know, I mean, that's how Darth Bane got his name. Xana doesn't really work for, but Cognis has precognition, which is great at seeing the future. But Cognis trained Darth Millennial, which means they which means
I am the Darth Millennial. So.
They grew up listening to emo music, most likely. That's what I assume. I don't know.
Oh, I've got images now of
probably a DJ, or were a DJ at some point in time.
I've got images of a Sith Lord sitting in his bedroom, listening to when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city.
It's not just a phase.
It's not just a phase, Mom. It's a lifestyle.
So Element 7's Sith name would be Darth Vapor. So I like that a lot. But all right, guys, I will be pulling in my final group. Thank you guys so much for joining. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you for having us.
If you guys wouldn't mind hopping out and back to the other place, and I will bring them in.
All right, you take care.
See ya.
We just figured out how to do that.
Let's see here.
Oh,
hey, you made it.
Here we are.
Wait, I don't hear Chuka.
He's there.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Sorry. I was trying to tell Sawyer that I'm one second here. Okay. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Grandmaster Nick, you made it?
I did. I finished my editing. Thank God.
Awesome. Yeah, let's super happy to have you here, Brian, too. Thank you guys for joining. Polk,
good to be here.
Yeah, let's go start with going around and introducing yourself, and which of the upcoming projects are you most hyped for and why? Also, I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench. Who would you want your Jedi or Sith master to be? So we're going to toss that in as well. And I'll start with Brian.
So I'm Brian. I'm Brian with the beard on TikTok. I am not a creator, so not a big deal. My favorite upcoming project, probably right now, is definitely Kenobi, because Obi-Wan is my favorite character by far in the universe. Since I was a kid and still is. He's the OG. And because of that, he would probably be my preferred master, because he's flexible enough. You know, he's a little more rigid than like someone like Qui-Gon, which is cool. But he obviously let Anakin get away with a lot, and so I feel like I'd be kind of the same without turning to the dark side, of course.
Awesome. And how about you, Nick?
So I'm Grandmaster Nick, same as on TikTok, kind of a smaller creator. I think the project that I'm most excited for is probably Rogue Squadron. I'm really hoping that's like the original trilogy Rogue Squadron, and we get to see Wedge Antilles and all that good stuff. As for my Jedi Master, I would probably have to go with Luke Skywalker. He's my favorite Jedi in general, and Mark Hamill noticed me on Twitter one time, so I'm going with that.
That lightsaber is just beautiful. Can you bring that back again?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's what $700 will get you.
that is sick.
And the I don't want to turn it on because it's really loud, but these light up as well. The little triangles on the side of it.
And for the 700, I assume it's also NeoPixel.
I can't get a NeoPixel for it. I don't have one just yet, but hopefully for my birthday.
Awesome. How about you, Poke?
Alright, I'm Polk. I'm most excited, probably Ahsoka. The idea of Rebels characters with Ahsoka and the world between worlds sounds really exciting. Jedi Master, I was thinking Qui-Gon, but then I thought of the idea that he would just have me looking at prophecies all day, and that didn't sound too exciting. Probably Obi-Wan would be.
No, that's a good choice. I want to be trained by Oppo Rancisis because he's a weird snake monster, and I want to see him in action because I don't know, it would be hilarious. But other than that, I would have to go personally High Republic, and I would want to be trained by what's her name? The main Avar Chris. I feel like Avar Chris would be like really cool, and like how she looks at the Force as like music would be awesome. But yeah, and I don't think I've actually really talked about it, but the project I'm most looking forward to is the Acolyte, because we have no real canon dark side lore. Nothing that specifically is dealing with just the dark side, and I need that in my life, you know? But yeah, how about you guys? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually had one question. If you were to have a comic book made out of any era about anything, what would it be?
Oh, and comic book specifically, because like the type of medium like does change things a bit. If it was like in a comic book form, I need I'm gonna go sequel. I need a comic book of Finn training to be a Jedi and like his trials and stuff, and like because I think there's so many more stories that are to be told, because he would have a master in Rey who has no idea how to teach and is just figuring this stuff out at the same time too. So it's kind of like Obi-Wan and Anakin, only there's no resources available really. So I think that'd be funny, especially because him having his military background would be a lot more like disciplined and stuff than she would on a lot of things. I think it'd be like an interesting juxtaposition. How about yourself?
Personally, I'm a huge fan of Tag and Bink.
Yeah.
I definitely would want to Tag and Bink in the sequel trilogy. I can just imagine them in like The Last Jedi, kind of like fumbling with a radar or whatever, trying to get the signal from the rebellion from Crate, and just messing it up completely. I think it'd be hilarious.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the Tag and Bink nod in The Mandalorian. Like, that's kind of what those characters were based off of, the troopers who couldn't shoot the thing and were punching Grogu. But yeah, how about you, Poke? You have any questions?
I guess, like, Asajj in Dark Disciple, like, she kind of talks about this, like, being in the middle and of, like, light and dark, but she's obviously, like, is she light by that point? Like, or is she talking about something that doesn't exist because Quinlan obviously is turned?
Yeah, so what she's talking about is like, don't go so far into the dark that you lose yourself. But she's still very much in the dark, on the dark side throughout the entire book. But that's actually one of my favorite parts of the book, is that when she dies, selfish. Sorry, spoiler alert. But selflessly, she actually experiences the light for the first time, like at her death, and like I can't remember exactly how it's described, but it's like it's beautiful, and like she realizes it's almost like her like, oh man, I could have been doing this. But yeah, no, she is firmly in the dark. But for the Night Sisters, things function differently because of their magic with a K. It's with a K, and it might be with a Y as well. I can't remember, but it's weird. I do need to look more into exactly how that works, but part of it is taking stuff from other creatures. You know what I mean? There's that big fish tentacle monster thing that's in the dark side that they pull pieces off of in order to do stuff. So it's almost like they're using the darkness in that thing. So there's like a whole different layer about it that I don't know yet, but I haven't really spent time trying to figure it out. How about you, Brian?
I've been thinking a lot lately about my main man, Jar Jar Binks. I know everyone's kind of like going back, oh, Coleman Trevor needs like redemption. Like, no, I think my man Jar Jar Binks and Ahmed Best needs redemption. If you had to put him either in one of the new like shows between the prequels and the original trilogy, or if you gave him his own like animated series, like what would you want that to look like?
Whew. Well, Ahmed Best did get his redemption. He's on the kids show now, which I'm so sad that I don't get to be a little kid now, because they have the best things. Like, there was no Star Wars Legos when I was little. There was no, like, you had to figure it out yourself. But for Jar Jar, so here's what I would do. It's gonna be dark, so I will apologize for that up front. But we find out in the Aftermath book that he essentially is like a clown on Theed at like the big water fountain, and everyone hates him and treats him like crap because he was instrumental in Palpatine rising. So Jar Jar snaps. It'll be similar to the movie Joker, but with Jar Jar, at least that's what I'm picturing. If him like, just like I'm, because he makes friends with this little kid who is like a burn victim who gets made fun of by his peers and stuff like that. maybe someone like kidnaps that kid, a crime boss or something like that, and then we get like half Joker, half John Wick. Jar Jar
Just going around
into,
messing up the Empire forces on the planet. That'd be interesting.
That's where my mind is going first off. Also, Brian, I gotta say your setup looks awesome. I'm gonna need you to start streaming and stuff because
I just got these Squishmallows today, so I was like, what am I doing with these? And I'm like, what if I just sit them on my bed and they're great background.
Does the setup not look like he's a pro streamer already? Like, I don't know.
I do a lot of video calls, so I got a better mic, so I probably sound at least half decent.
But yeah, I mean, what else do we have? Any more questions or anything? Or actually, no. I want to hear your story. What would you do with Jar Jar?
I haven't read that book, so I wasn't aware there kind of was already a path for him. I kind of imagined some way you could slot him into, like helping found the rebellion. He would obviously kind of die in some way in some small skirmish before the original trilogy begins, but I think like it'd be cool if like he gets like real redemption from creating the Empire by helping start the thing that like brings it down. And I think that would be kind of like fair to his character, because like I think the thing was like in the Phantom Menace, he obviously was more he was supposed to be kind of like the next like sidekick, like Chewbacca or something, and then they kind of reduced his role a little bit after he wasn't so well received. So I think it would be fair if he kind of had like kind of like a small hero role to fill.
Yeah, I mean the thing I still can't come back from is having Jar Jar Binks mouth the words that people are saying in the background of scenes. Because that doesn't happen he's a CG character. It's not like he's the actor on set and they've said it so many times he mouthed it. No, someone animated that. And he was the first full CG character like that, like in anything. So they invented technology to make him mouth things in the background of scenes. There was something else meant. You cannot tell me otherwise. Cause
maybe he was the puppeteer. I don't know. Like, those theories they're wild, but like they have some weight, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I think Jar Jar would have been cool, but obviously that doesn't really, there's not a lot of room for that to work in the space between the movies.
Yeah.
They could make a Force Unleashed, but with Jar Jar instead. Where he's just like, you play as him and he's Darth Jar Jar.
I was recently replaying it, and I forget because I played it right when it came out, so I didn't have like the Ultimate Edition or the Dark Side Edition or whatever. But last time I was playing it, I didn't know there had a bunch of skins and stuff on there, so I was playing it as C-3PO, and to me it was just the most hilarious thing. No, but I do like that a lot as well. I think it would be cool if you could also do Jar Jar's kind of redemption, because so the Gungans were actually super technologically advanced, like way more like in underwater cities and stuff like that. Like it was crazy. And so it would have been cool if Jar Jar was the person that helped create like resistance bases underwater, or provided them with technology in order to power their weapons and all this stuff. I think that could be cool as well.
They're definitely well set up for kind of like a guerrilla warfare, because they can pop up anywhere on the surface through the water. So that definitely would give them the kind of an advantage against the Empire, who's more standards air and ground forces.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what else? What else you got?
What are your thoughts on Claude from The Rise of Skywalker? Because in my opinion, there's no way Han would let that guy on the Falcon.
Claude as a character, I love him because of how stupid he is. He looks exactly like the wax that Shrek pulled out of his ear. Shrek was making that candle and he pulls wax and he snaps it down. Like, I almost edited a GIF where it is Claude, but it was too many. I got too high quality of a GIF, and so it was going to be too many frames. So I was like, nah, screw that. Yeah, Claude is hilarious as a concept. I don't understand how is he an engineer? He doesn't have hands. I'm sure he's slimy and he's like
they're like the antenna on his head, but they're not very long. So like, how do you see if you have to bend your head over to? I don't
Jabba
know.
the Hutt would be more useful than Claude.
Yeah, honestly.
I feel like Claude is the ultimate disrespect to Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes, that he got more screen time, honestly, than she did.
But
Like,
she is the engineer, and they're like, you know
yes,
what? We're gonna replace you with a new engineer, and he doesn't even.
who's
have
so
hands.
useless. Yeah,
Like, come on, man.
that's
He's
disrespectful.
probably leaving slime all over the Falcon as
Yes,
he's
that
walking
too.
around.
Yeah.
Big mess.
So I have mixed feelings on Claude because I love him as a concept. Like, I think Star Wars is at its best when it's weird. Like, get as weird as possible with it. But yeah, I hate him because it feels disrespectful.
Yeah, I think he would have made more sense if, like, not force powers per se, but like could use like psychic powers to move tools would honestly be better than the little antenna on his head being his hands, because they seem so useless. But like, they didn't make that canon, so instead it's like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, like some sort of helmet that allows him to control like mini droids or something like that. That would be super cool. But
Yeah, if he's just a big like slug with a big brain and can control a little like droid crew, yeah, that like anything would have been better than what they made him. You know, he just looks funny, and so he's entertaining.
I just think he looks annoying.
I'm surprised no one is yelling at us in the chat that like all this Claude hate, because I guess there's no Claude supporters right now. I don't know. I was afraid. I was afraid we were gonna get like shit on.
Well, Mateus Ward is notoriously the biggest Claude supporter that I know. Also, I ship Claude and Rose, and I even like edited a scene with them together. I'll have to put that up somewhere. I was going to make a bunch of content where I was just making the worst and most awkward ships, and like talking about them seriously. So I might resurrect that. But yeah, any more? So I have one final group that I'm going to be bringing in. But yeah, do we have any final thoughts or final wrap-up questions or anything like that?
I did want to say that I think we need Nathan Fillion in Star Wars, but I don't know where we would put him in.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, okay, so what I want is a pirate movie in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And you know, this is maybe we can show Hondo getting kicked out of his gang and forming a new one and just trying to make connections and stuff like that. But yeah, I want a pirate movie, and Nathan Fillion could obviously be on the ship. I need Hondo on the ship. I need someone from Admiral Trench's species on the ship with a little like captain's hat or whatever. And then like a bunch of like droids and stuff like that. That's what I want. Like, more than anything, I think that would do gangbusters. Personally, you could have young Maz Kanata, because she used to be a pirate queen, so she could be running a crew that they're running from. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, we do need more Maz for sure.
Yeah.
That was like a throwaway character almost. It seemed like, even though she seemed so important.
Yeah. Right. And like, so she does pop up in the Afra. In Afra, but she is the pirate queen at that point in time, and she's chasing down Afra because Afra owes her money, and like, I just loved it so much that I need more of that. But yeah, all right, guys. Thank you so much for popping in.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
this has been fun,
and also this has given me like a lot of like people I need to have back on for like a full podcast episode. I typically do creators because I can see them talking and stuff like that, but like this gives me a whole new pool. It's awesome. I love it. But yeah, if you guys don't mind hopping out of the room so I can bring in the last group.
Sure.
But yeah, thank you for joining.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good night.
You too.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Last
Hi.
but certainly not least. Hello, everyone.
Is the cameras on occasion or no?
Yes, camera's on.
Oh, okay. I mean, I got some bad lighting in my room, so.
That's all good. Ooh, how you guys doing?
So.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing awesome. This has been a lot of fun. My first time trying this out, and it seems successful. Hopefully, I'm just happy because I didn't get a bunch of trolls, because you never know. I was terrified of making a public Discord because I was afraid I was gonna get like flamed. But everyone's been awesome so far.
Yep.
But yeah, let's go around, introduce yourself, and the question is, if you had to join a faction in Star Wars, which faction are you going to join and why? And when I say faction, I mean it could be it could be Jedi, Sith, Mandalorian, it could be Resistance, Rebellion, Empire, First Order, Pirate. you could be a Hutt.
I mean, if I could be a clone, then I'm going right to being a clone. And if not that, I'd probably be a bounty hunter.
Awesome. No, I love it. Because being a clone means that I don't consider
like
that,
being a clone holds great honor and unity between your brothers, and that's what I very value a lot, and that's what I'd like to do, and to fight with my brothers and shit or stuff like that. Oh my god, my bad. I kind of swore.
No, it's all good. No worries. We keep it to a minimum because
I asked in lounge. Is there like a swearing policy? And then they said yeah, and then kind of slipped out.
It's all good. How about you, Jackson?
So if I was in a faction in Star Wars, I would probably be Mandalorian, because Mandalorians have always been cool to me, but because of their armor and basically the way that they do things, like they're usually bounty hunters, but they could be anything else. Like Boba Fett's a bounty hunter and Din Djarin's a bounty hunter. But yeah, they're really cool to me with their armor and the way that they do things, and they just seem really awesome. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that. And how about you? I don't know how to pronounce
LG Hannah. My name's Liam, but it's just my initials and my last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I use my school email to set this up. Yeah, so I would definitely be like a Sith. I'd be a really bad Sith, but I just think that they're the coolest. I'm like a pretty I don't know, I'm not like gonna flex, but like I'm rather compassionate, so like there's that with the appeal to the light, but I just find being a Sith cooler and acting out of emotion, so like definitely would go down that route.
Yeah. I like to pretend like I would be a Sith, and that's why we got the Darth in the name. But I wouldn't.
Yeah. It's like easy to be like, oh man, that's really cool. I want to be it. And if I could choose it, I'd want for that. But like, I wouldn't be good at it. I probably wouldn't make it very long. I probably wouldn't make it very good long. Probably be very quick to be betrayed. But like,
I mean, that's that. Isn't that part of the Sith code? Like, it's YOLO and
yeah.
Yeah. Except in the case of Palpatine, it wasn't YOLO. It's but
I'd be honorable, but not honor the code, but not a good one.
But yeah, do you guys have any questions for me?
All right. Why does Anakin become a Force ghost? That's something that's really confused me because, like, he never got that training that Qui-Gon gave to Yoda and Obi-Wan, and that always kind of like confuses me. Is it because he was a chosen one and was so like attuned with the Force, or is there something else happening?
Yeah, I mean, so our current understanding of it, and all that we know is that, so becoming a Force ghost is locked off to people on the dark side, because one of the things that you have to do is you'd have to die on the light side and in an act of selflessness, and serving others, and that's how he died, and basically, anything that dies and lives in Star Wars comes from the cosmic force, right? That's the source of it, and it comes in, and then it's part of the living force, and then when you die, you go back into the cosmic force. And so, being a Force ghost is just retaining your consciousness when you become part of the cosmic force once again. So then we know that when you die on the light side selfishly, your consciousness passes through the Virgins Scatter, or the world between worlds. And so it's more that the people who have been able to retain their consciousness are able to help and save the other consciousness that are passing through that area, if that makes sense. So it would be,
I think so.
It would be like Yoda or Obi-Wan helping Anakin's consciousness as it's passing through, catching it and helping him materialize as a Force ghost. And it also, when you're there, time and space aren't a thing, so he could appear instantly, even if it in the Force took him 50 years to figure this out. And then lastly,
I think that makes sense, yeah.
And then lastly, and I know you didn't ask this part, but in the book From a Certain Point of View, A New Hope, Qui-Gon's Force Ghost appears to Obi-Wan. And basically, so that your consciousness is part of the cosmic force, like this big soup of the Force. Yeah. And then he pulls his consciousness out and then remembers himself and his body and what he looked like, and starts to reconstitute his physical form. And so the reason Anakin appears as young Anakin is because he's essentially assembling himself from memory. Yeah. And so the last thing that he remembers himself as a Jedi
was the one in
is young Anakin.
Revenge of the Sith, yeah. Because he didn't want to remember him. Well, yeah.
It's kind of almost like a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being
it's explained in when Obi-Wan talks to Luke, Darth Vader killed Anakin, and then
but I told you
that kind of from a certain point of view, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Anakin is reborn into the cosmic force. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how he.
Very compelling.
Yeah. How about you, Jackson? Any questions?
Whatever happened to Watto? Did Anakin ever get revenge on what Watto did to Anakin and Shmi? Or, yeah, what happened to him?
So in Legends, Vader shows up and murders Watto straight up.
Oof. Dang.
But in canon, we don't know. It's never really referred to. But I was talking about it earlier with someone. I do believe he gets mentioned in the Queen Shadow book, but I'd have to pull that back out to verify. But yeah, we don't really know what his fate was. Beyond what we found out in Revenge of the Sith, where basically he lost everything and was like shabby and broken down. So yeah, he was not high and mighty anymore.
Yeah, because I feel like Anakin would be really mad at Watto, basically because of what he did.
I mean, they're not friends, if that's what you're asking. They're not
yeah,
pals.
yeah.
I mean,
in Legends, it makes sense that he did kill him because, like, he must have been really mad at Watto.
He always held that grudge. I mean, in
Yeah.
the Zygerian arc
He
in the
didn't
Clone
like working
Wars,
for Watto. He didn't like any of it.
in the Zygerian arc in the Clone Wars, he himself is hateful towards the Zygerian slavers because they making the slaves go through what he went through. And I mean, if he wants to seek out revenge on the Zygerian slavers, he's probably gonna want to try and find Watto, and hunt him down.
But on the other side, I feel like Vader, at least in canon from the Vader comics, that he actually wouldn't care anymore. That he would look at Watto as being part of what shaped him. And Anakin is weak, and he destroyed him. And if Anakin was powerful enough, then he would have freed himself. Like I feel like he wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Really even think about Watto anymore. I don't know. That's kind of how I see it, but that's.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Because Watto built up that hate and anger towards slavery.
Yeah.
And that eventually built up into like the hate and anger consuming him.
Yeah.
And him releasing that on other people and the galaxy.
So kind of my headcanon is that if Vader ever saw Watto, he would absolutely kill him sight unseen. But he would never look for Watto. He would never try to find him. But like if he was like walking through a market and was like, oh, there's Watto, he would just be like and like, turn him into like a little nugget of spam or something.
I just think of like a true crime situation, like oh man, the suspect list for who killed Watto must be pretty short. But then again, Vader's tax bracket is probably pretty high above what the law would.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You just gave me something I never knew I wanted, but now I need like a Law and Order type show.
Right, like some kind of true crime Star Wars show. I feel like that would be sick.
Like that undercover boss with Kylo Ren.
No.
Have you seen that on SNL?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Oh yeah.
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 But how about you, Liam? Do you have any questions?
I do. So we talked about like Force Ghosts earlier, and I was just wondering, like, and I remember the Clone Wars episode where Yoda encountered Darth Bane, and we got the canonization of like Darth Bane and the Rule of Two. Like, how did was that just a vision? Because like Legends, I know like the Force Ghost thing wasn't necessarily restricted to Jedi and Sith, but we know in canon it's mostly a Jedi thing. So how did Yoda see that?
So I mean, there are a couple possibilities, but so we do know canonically Darksiders cannot become Force Ghosts because of how they die, and like literally they were actually going to show Darth Bane and Darth Revan in an arc on the Clone Wars and the Mortis arc, but they scrapped it because they weren't supposed to be able to be Force Ghosts like that. So I think that whole part was a vision. But other than that, we do find that dark side users can kind of cheat death by tying their consciousness to a physical item. So like Darth Momin did it with his helmet. And I don't even understand what the Grand Inquisitor, his is like tied to fire. That's a pork. Like,
Wait, Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor comes back in the Vader 20. Is it Vader 2020 or Star Wars 2020? He comes back, but he's on fire. So it's crazy.
It makes me like.
I'm gonna ask a question upon that too. Like, so we also see the Grand Inquisitor as a temple guard in like that one Rebels episode. Like, are those like two just split personalities, or is it just like a memory of Canon that shows up in Rebels?
Well, all of the Inquisitors are former Jedi.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, he was a temple guard in the past. But you're talking about specifically the fact that he showed up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, as contrary to him tying himself to that one object. Like, it seems like how do I word this?
No, I do get what you're saying, but that wasn't actually the Grand Inquisitor. That was the Force giving him a vision.
Oh, okay.
Makes you wonder how that happened though, because it's like the Inquisitors more or less got like a crash course in the dark side. Like, how could he have been like one of these like handful of Sith too, or not even Sith because he was just a dark side user, but like to attach their consciousness to, like,
that we don't
an
know,
object.
but we do know that the Grand Inquisitor, did study. He was very studious. And like one of the main reasons that he had a rift with the Jedi is because there were things that they didn't allow him to study. And so in the Vader, it's still 2017 run. When we meet the Grand Inquisitor, he's in like the Jedi library, and he's just like reading all this stuff. He's like, "Yes, I can read all these books now without stupid Jocasta Nu." Which was kind of weird, but if anyone would, it would be him. You know what I mean? The other ones were kind of dumb. Maybe Prasit Dibs, maybe, who was the 10th brother, but he died like a punk. But after, because he started to defect on a mission with Mace Windu, and it's in the Mace Windu comics. And so instead of like killing him, Mace Windu beats him in the exact same way that he does Palpatine later. And Prasit thinks he's going to kill him, but Mace doesn't. And they bring him back to the temple, and they make him serve in the library instead. So I don't know, maybe he might figure it out, but basically he never ended up agreeing. The true crime is that Pong Krell died, because I would love to see him as an Inquisitor. He would be terrifying.
Speaking of Krell and Umbara, what happened to Dogma? I've always wanted to know what happened to him, and I've never gotten like a true grasp on like his fate.
It's never talked about, but he would be arrested and like imprisoned for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah,
like even though he was justified in the moment, there's no way of, like, it's one of those things where we know what happened, but all we know is he murdered a Jedi general. I know, kind of like if because Dave Filoni talks about it, if Mace Windu had killed Palpatine, what would have happened? He would have been executed, like, for sure.
Yeah,
you can't just kill.
Yeah, really.
The president. You know what I mean? And like, Palpatine was a Sith Lord, but being a Sith Lord is not illegal. Like the most dangerous thing about Palpatine is that you can't connect him to any illegal activities, and all the powers that he gained and all the control and everything, absolutely legal.
I am the Senate.
So yeah, had Mace killed him,
I will make it legal
or in prison for the rest of his life.
A noble sacrifice.
Yeah. A noble sacrifice for such a person who was like the teacher's pet during that whole arc.
Yeah.
That's what honestly made me like Dogma was that sacrifice that he made at the end of the arc.
Yeah.
I think it's very selfless compared to what he did in the Umbara arc.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was younger, I couldn't watch the Umbara arc. I just couldn't watch it, and I hated it,
bro.
But because it like affected me so much. But now it's my favorite arc because anything that can affect you that much is definitely high quality. I don't know. It reminds me of an episode of Futurama called Jurassic Park, and that episode breaks me all of the time because Fry finds his dog that he had a long time ago. But before he brings the dog back to life, he finds out that the dog lived much longer than he thought. Like, he thought the dog had, like, been petrified earlier. But no, the dog, like, literally just, like, stayed and waited for him for years. And, like, it's so sad. I can't even watch it anymore.
Yeah.
That episode is sad.
So, yeah, but I'm always like, oh, man, I hate the Umbara arc for a long time. And I'm like, no, I just love it so much that I can't watch it.
that one scene where the clones start killing each other was like so. That's one of my
saddest death of all the clones.
Waxer's.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene, like where they're like all lining up to like look at each other and stuff like that. Like that really hits home for me. So much.
Pong Krell forced Waxer to die a traitor
fighting
to his brothers.
Yeah, fighting each other.
And by the hand of one of his brothers. Like, that's the most sadistic crap.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Of all, like...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, of all the characters...
That's the arc that really cemented, like, Five's role as a person, like, that always wants to do what's right instead of just following orders. And that's how he convinces Rex that he needs to do that. Yeah. He needs to start doing that instead of just blindly following orders.
Yeah.
And eventually... Oh, yeah. You could go.
I was just going to say, of all people for that to happen, Pong Krell being one of, like, the coolest looking characters to do that, a four-armed, two double-bladed lightsaber wielding guy. Like, why did they have to? No, why couldn't we get like Kiadi Mundi to be like the guy to like make people kill each other? Like, why couldn't we get like one of like the weird dislikable guys, and we had to instead make a whole new character, way more hateable.
So that's why I need an origin story for Dexter Jetster.
Yes.
I keep saying
Dexter, a Star Wars story.
I keep saying this, but he is in the Witness Protection Program on Coruscant. I guarantee.
Gotta be.
Like, he shows him
has to be
the dart, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a toxic dart that's used by bounty hunters. This was obviously made by the Camino and cloners." And you're like,
on a planet that isn't even charted in the Jedi Temple, where that was deleted.
He knows too much to be a cook at a diner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows.
Who is he?
He knows like what's available and not available in the Jedi archives too. It seems very sus.
What if he was a Jedi?
Pong Krell was a Sith Lord all along.
It was Dexter all along.
Oh right. wait! I just said Pong Krell.
Yeah. But I knew what you meant. All right,
I meant Dexter.
So let's do a final question before closing this out, and I want to ask you guys, and you can't say Pong Krell. Who's the worst character in Star Wars? And you can't say Pong Krell. And then any closing thoughts for this episode? And by the way, this has been awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I love this. I'm
gonna have to go last on this one because I'm gonna have to really think about this.
Well, I don't know, but there's some like really bad people. Like there's some like traitors other than Punkro. Like there's Barriss Offee. We know what she did.
Yep.
There's Barriss Offee. Yeah, I think I would say Barriss, just because what she did was really, really bad and accused Ahsoka and made her leave the Jedi. Like, that was so sad to watch. And that was the last episode that they aired on Cartoon Network, I believe. And then we got, like, the 6th was, like, direct to DVD, I'm pretty sure.
The 6th season was on Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was season 7. But, like, yeah, I would say Barriss, because her impact on the story and what she did was kind of mean, so.
I fully agree. How about you, Liam?
So I could go with, there's the low-hanging fruit of Pong Krell and, in my opinion, Ki-Adi Mundi, but I'm going to go with my boy, Mesa Windu. He doesn't know he's my boy yet. He probably will soon if he watches this. Gonna have to go with Luminara and Dooley. There's a great podcast out there. The name escapes me right now, but they do it did a whole thing about philosophy and its relation to Star Wars, and basically it analyzed a lot of the prequel age Jedi Order to the Stoic philosophy, and just super radical stoicism. Just a note that has been popularly made is literally did not care when she thought that Barriss Offee might have been dead. Talk about something if there's anything that shows what's wrong, the Clone Wars literally shows how bad how far they were off because of how stoic they were. They just emotion free and attachment free, and that just irritated me whenever I saw her.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see and get down with that.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, what about you?
All right, I'm gonna have to say Maul, because I mean I love Maul. He's one of my favorite characters, but he's so evil and so sadistic, and he's built on hatred and stuff like that. He his whole mission after getting cut down on Naboo was to just search for revenge, and he was very maniacal and calculating and stuff like that.
And he's
It's
definitely
very
a creepster.
Yeah,
he had in
but,
Rebels, he has a whole shrine to Satine, who he killed. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And
And
then he tries to he brings the worst out of Kenobi. He tries to what was I gonna say? He's he wants to make Kenobi suffer a lot, and there's this one quote that he said I'll make you feel every cut and whatever he said in that one quote. I think I know you guys. Do you guys know what I'm
I
talking
think I
about?
know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so psychotic.
I'm pretty sure
and
that's the episode where it's Obi-Wan versus Savage and Maul. Is that not the same one? Could be wrong.
Maybe it could be.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And for me, I think the worst character is Riff Tampson. It's the stupid shark-headed.
I forgot about him.
From the
Oh wait,
Mon
the
Cala arc.
the Mon Cala arc.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
him. So he's just the worst. I want to fire him out of a cannon.
I haven't
into
watched
the sun.
the Mon Cala arc in a while. Another
Sorry,
very
I
bad.
gotta charge my phone.
Another really big bad in Star Wars is also what's his name? The Mando villain. Jeez, I can't remember his
Moff
name.
Gideon?
Moff Gideon.
Gideon?
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. I feel like they left him alive for a certain reason. I think he's going to have a role to play in the next season. Plus, he's just too good of an actor to throw away. But all right, guys, I do have to wrap it up. But
all right,
I will say thank you so much for joining me on my first ever.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
This, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that was very fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been really
definitely be doing
fun.
this
I
more.
love talking Star Wars with you guys.
Same.
But all right, guys, I will end this.